the Bible. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.
So much pain, life took us separate ways. Both did some hurtful things, but it's not over. You know that we both care. So can we forgive and forget? I need you here. Remember the ups and downs, the trials we've been through. See, there is no one on this earth who can replace you, my brother. Life is too short, don't hold no grudges. No grudges. You are my blood. We must forgive and love each other. No matter what life
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
throws at us, we must keep brotherly love. Searched high and low, where did you go? Pick up your phone. Oh brother, do you hear me calling? See, I apologize.
Shalom, shalom.
This bond will never die. Remember the ups and downs and trials we've been through. So I'll keep on darling. I'll go till I get through to you, brother. Life is too short, don't hold no grudges. No grudges, brother. We must forgive and love each other. No matter what life throws at us, we must.
Shalom, shalom, shalom,
We
shalom.
must keep brothers, not enemies.
We're not enemies.
Come together for the family. Let's walk as one. Forgive and let it go. We need to let it go. This distance been killing me for so long. Time that we find a way to move on. Starting today, 'cause our battles are in vain.
Shalom, shalom.
Life is too short, don't
love you.
You know I love you. I love you, brother. Life is too short, don't hold no grudges. You know I love you, brother. We must forgive and love. I love you, brother. No matter what life throws at us, we love. We must keep love. I love you, brother.
Shalom, shalom. Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Ricard Shaw of the Gathered of Christ Church, as you all know, live with our weekly broadcast. I do apologize for the tardiness. We have some new equipment here that we're working with. I apologize, so we had to reschedule. But, hey, I'm here. That's right. All praises be to the Most High, Ahaya Bahashim Yeshai Warawak. We have Elder Lawyer in the building. And, of course, any elder or any brother or sister from the church who would like to chime in on this particular topic, you're more than welcomed. All right. Also on top of that, brothers and sisters, let me turn this down just a little. I don't want to be too hot. All right. That's good. On top of that, brothers and sisters, I'm going to open up the calls around 8:30, 8:45, so that you can chime in on this particular topic. And as you can see, that's right. The title of this particular broadcast this evening, Overcoming the Lies in Babylon, is our topic today. Overcoming the lies. There's this old saying, right? That the Most High would never put anything, or God would never put something on a person that they couldn't bear. How many times we've heard that? That the Most High will never put something on a person that they cannot bear, right? Of course, that saying isn't scripture, but, you know, in Babylon, that particular saying, I would say it's stressed at best. We're stressing that particular saying or term in Babylon, that the Most High cannot put anything on, will never put anything on us that we can't bear. Well, he put a lot on us for our disobedience. And, hey, a lot of us has bared it and is still struggling through what we've been through as a people. And that's why I thought about this on the way home, and I called AC, and I'm like, you know what? We're going to call this Overcoming the Lies of Babylon today. Overcoming the Lies. Which brings a whole new focus on when Christ quoted, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." One isn't really truly free unless they have truth. And speaking of freedom, yeah, we're going to talk about slavery this evening. And hopefully through this particular broadcast, it'll help the majority of people, not just black people, not just our people, anyone this video might fall on, overcome the lies. Okay? Overcoming the lies in Babylon. Now, before I jump, of course there's sound. I'm looking right at it. Now, before we go into this, before we go into the topic, let me just make a few announcements real quick. All right. And then we'll just jump right into the Most High's business here. All right. Backed by popular demand in the academy, those that are in the academy, brothers and sisters, now you're able to actually download the videos like we used to do so a few academies ago. A lot of those features were taken away. We were trying something with this one-stop shopping, hitting the link and it'll come up before you. But we found that so many people were used to getting the videos, putting it on their computers or whatever the case is, or on their platforms, just to see it anytime they would like to, outside of having to log in and all those things. And we thought that that was a great convenience, a great caveat within the academy, you know, that really helped those who couldn't log in and all that. To have the property in your hand, what you've purchased, and learn on your due time was really it was a serious caveat that we've now brought back for you. So you can, okay, we can celebrate that real quick. So now immediately you can download the videos, have it at your access. Of course, when it comes to the academy, it's just like a school. All videos, all literature is for individual students. And of course, you know, they're not uploaded to regular platforms and all those things. Therefore, your learning is a learning tool, and now you can have it back. All right, so you know, we was moving more so towards DVD options and things of that nature that we might discuss in the future. But right now, you can download your classes now immediately. So I'm already getting thank yous all over the place. All praises. See, hey, we listen to you. We do listen. Okay. Now, also, the academy is there's still enrollments, brothers and sisters. It's still open for enrollments for the academy. Okay. We're only in week 4, right, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir.
We're in week 4 of the Hebrew and Bible Academy. And of course, we went into last week, the promised seed, to break down the straight lie that came from Christian European theology, claiming that according to the Bible, it doesn't matter what race you are. If you're in Christ, you have access to promises equally as Israelites. We totally decimated that ideology, which is hypocritical in a sense, being taught here in America, where the Christians will teach, well, it doesn't matter who you are as a race, as long as you accept Christ, you're Abraham's seed or promise. We totally decimated that lie. And it's hypocritical how they teach this. Why? Because at the same time they're teaching us, Europeans teaching us, that we're all equal under Christ's promise if we accept his blood and sacrifice. They are exalting only one people in the earth as the Jews or Israelites. So which one is it? If it doesn't matter as Christians, why do they go out of their way to call us Gentiles and Europeans Israelites or Israeli or Jews? Now, they can call each other anything they would like, but there should be some balance here. If you're going to teach it doesn't matter, then we shouldn't be promoting any race of people as the people of the book, not realizing exactly who they are, since that's what you claim. When our people stake claim to the bloodline of the Bible, you tell us it doesn't matter, but you still want us to accept your understanding, your theology of what an Israelite is, according to what? The Europeans. So that's hypocrisy within itself. Either you're going to come all the way in with your doctrine and say it doesn't matter, therefore don't talk about no other race of people being God's people outside of those who accept Christ. That's it. Either you're going to leave that hypocrisy alone, or if you're going to identify a people as Israelites or Israelis or whoever, then now it's time to do what? Let the rubber meet the road. Come with the history, sit down and prove who you're claiming to be the people as the people. If not, exactly. So I don't have no problem with people calling races of people whatever they would like. That has no bearing on the Bible and who the Bible says are God's people. All right. So let me put that out there real quick. So, oh yeah, we're going to touch on a lot of that this evening also. All right. Okay. Okay, it's 7:58, so I'm going to open up the lines at 9. We're going to open up 9. Between 9 and 10, we open up the lines, and then We're going to have to digress at 10 o'clock, okay? But let me jump right in. The promised seed. The promised seed is what we broke down. Now, in order for us to break that down, what we have found is a serious error in Christianity is when it comes to the promises that were given to Abraham, they start in the New Testament. When the Bible says, the law was my schoolmaster to bring me to Christ. How can you understand salvation, the promised seed, and all that comes with it without actually studying Abraham in the Old Testament and his forefathers? And Abraham's sons, the fathers of the promise, where it was clear that bloodline was that genealogy as an Israelite are those who receive the promises through Christ, first and foremost. And it would be the Israelites becoming a light to the Gentiles to show them the proper way outside of, that's right, guiding them out of false religion. Okay? But I don't want to spend too much time on that. If you're in the academy, even if you enroll for week 4, we'll give you all 3 weeks. Come on in and you'll get, you'll get it broken down, on a theological level. Okay? With the PDFs, everything, and the videos to follow. All right. Now, okay. Yeah. And if you wish to enroll, go to historytimes.org. Okay. Come on in. Now, next week, we're going to go into Elder Lawyer. Who is Edom? Right. But I'm going to deal with it from a different angle this time, Elder Lawyer. I'm going to culminate together for the first time in the Hebrew and Bible Academy who is Edom and color and the Bible within one lesson, where we immediately show, according to the Bible, who are the Edomites. Right? Now, I'm going to prove beyond any shadow of a doubt, but yes, they are the Romans. The Roman Empire is Edom, and we're going to prove that. But I'm going to also go into color in the Bible. How Esau, after selling his birthright and losing his blessing, worked tirelessly to gain preeminence over his brother Jacob, with the full intent of replacing Jacob. Once Rome got in charge, then their whole apparandi was to move towards taking a promise that didn't belong to them. I'll be going into that, color and the Bible, and who's Edom, one and the same, especially for a lot of new people who are in the academy who need that research on how did the black people or dark people in the Bible turn white? How did the people of color turn white? What were the trickery, the lies they would utilize? Okay, that would have our people, the true seed of Jacob today, believing we're Gentiles and looking at them as the chosen, looking at any other race as the chosen outside of our people. Brothers and sisters, that was an calculated plan. I don't care what let me tell you, it's not about, I'm going to tell you right now, folks, and I know there's a lot of terms that I agree with, but it's really, there's a ceiling when it comes to all other ways of like, for instance, I know there's a such thing as white supremacy, right? But if I don't identify the complete agenda according to prophecy, that ideology can only take me but so far. White supremacy, it's so ambiguous. I mean, you cannot identify the true agenda. But if you say a battle between Esau and Jacob now, right? Now you are identifying something biblical historical, that can show you, brothers and sisters, the root of racism we're experiencing today. And on top of that, you're able to identify the people, right? So even though there is some truth to the whole ideology of white supremacy, it falls a little flat without identifying why. Why is there white supremacy? Why do they suppress us? Why do they lie to us? Systematic lying and destroying our people. Why? Why do they try so hard to keep the black man down? Now, let me tell you, I'm not saying this because I would like any other race, including white people, to feel sorry for me. Because I don't care what they try. It doesn't matter. If you have the fortitude and the spirit of the Most High and the spirit of the Almighty with you, it doesn't matter what they try. They could never hold you down. So I'm not saying this for sympathy. And this particular broadcast isn't for sympathy at all. It's helping all of us overcome the lies of Babylon like we were able to overcome them. Okay? When you understand how they work, how they operate, then that's right. When they come with the next lie, right? We're coming out of one. When they come to the when they get to the next lie, you're already what? 10 steps ahead of them. All right? So yeah, white supremacy, racism, all of these things are what? Ambiguous words that allow Esau to roam free without identifying his true intentions. So that's why I'm going into who's Edom now. This coming academy. All right. We're going to go into the Roman Catholic Church, their liars, all of that. But I digress. It's time now. It's time. Another lie. Another lie. Afrocentric ideology. Okay, sensationalizing Africa, which has become nothing but a con in America. It seems like our people in America we sensationalize Africa more than they do. It's a con. When in actuality, Africans are seeking truth. A lot of them are seeking truth, and the majority of their what you would call swag, how their fashion, even when it comes to the awakening, they look more so to us who was raised through captivity and was able to overcome it. See, Africans are looking at us and saying, listen, we weren't uprooted from our homeland. And look at what my brothers and sisters went through there and still excel. If anything, it's really the other way around. Where our brothers and sisters in Africa are more so proud. Listen to me clearly, folks. A lot of them. People want to talk about the envy and all that and how there's a struggle between, listen, it doesn't matter where we are geographically. They're going to always be that sentiment of hatred that happens with haters. I'm not even going to go there. But when you look at their swag, the music they sing, everything they do now, it's really following the pattern we've set forth. Struggling through captivity to be a light to even them. So we sensationalize Africa when really, they weren't uprooted from the land and had to go through the struggles that made us who we are to be able to proclaim that we're the sons of Judah. We're the sons of Benjamin. We're the sons of Levi, and the Most High has fulfilled his prophecies in us. The Africans look more so to us for leadership. So we need to get rid of that Afrocentric con that people have out there that really has no substance, no direction. It's time to go now. Let me bring in historytimes.org, folks. That's all I can tell you. It's time to jump in. Elder Lawyer. All right. Anytime you want to come in, Elder Lawyer, I have a few things to say with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shalom. Had a little trouble finding the mute button, but nonetheless, shalom, and definitely I'll let you know if there's any input or insight.
I would
like to add.
Oh no, we're jumping in right now because I wanted you to be beside me as we go into these scriptures, overcoming the lies,
Absolutely.
overcoming the lies of Babylon, how they have tricked us so. Okay.
Absolutely.
Christ said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." The truth shall make you free. Last week, I did a talk, Elder Lawyer, on some of the drawbacks that comes with how our sisters operate in the earth, right? Of how they should be more proud of how the Most High made them naturally and not buy in to the pressures to be accepted. And some, it fell good on some, but others it fell on like, okay, why do we talk about this, that, and the other? But all in all, now we're going to move from that to the brethren, to the men. It seems as if the things that keeps us in perpetual servitude somehow is protected, right? It's a scab that we don't want to pick when it comes to things that we have taken on, be it the man or the woman, right?
Right.
That really, the things that we cleave to or want to continue. And we don't want anyone picking that scab. Understandably so, right? So when I put something out there, it's not to offend anyone. Let me put it out there real quick. If the Most High give me information that I think can help brothers or sisters, I put it out there. Because usually brothers and sisters come to this channel to get some information, some constructive information that they probably didn't know before, to have a better life, to understand some of the ills that be done to them in secret, even when it comes to things that we embrace or accept. That usually it's a booby trap or some type of poison that comes with everything they give us. And this is why I broke it down with the sisters last week and say, listen, here's what the scriptures say. And here's what they're doing in exchange, right? For feminism, for allowing you to be out there. It comes with a price. The chemicals that it take to not have babies for a long period of time, all of those things. I wanted to express that. But today, what we're going into is the deep root of our issues. The deep root of our issues. I went there, and now I'm going to talk about brothers more so today. The deep-rooted issues. And guess what? There's problems on every side. There's problems on every side. And now I understand more than ever, elder lawyer, and I was talking about this also on my way here, as to why Christ stressed forgiveness in the New Testament before he was crucified, over and over and over and over again. And the more I see the plight of the children of Israel, my people, our people, God's people in the earth, one of the greatest issues between us is that what? And I hate to say it, but it's the truth. On the man's side and the woman's side, we're unforgiving. We say we forgive, but we're unforgiving. We'll embrace everyone else and give up on each other. And this is why Christ kept stressing forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. That I'll forgive your trespass as you forgive those that trespassed against us. Right? In every area. If someone do an ought against you, okay. Rebuke, and if thou repent, forgive. Accept that person back and love them as Christ loved them, right? And that's if they've done wrong against you. Well, suppose they're saying something or doing something that's right for you, but it's offensive. Why? Because the majority of us, when we're doing whatever, we want to do what we would like to do. But instead of brushing people off, why don't we forgive them and say, you know what? I know it pains me what they're saying, but I forgive them. So that relationship is intact long enough for each other, so that we can be in the right place for each other before the last trump. To stay in close proximity as we can in loving each other, knowing that at the end, we'll need each other, right? But hey, let's go straight in, Elder Lawyer. I want to go straight in. Overcoming, that's it on my monologue. We have enough people in. Please hit the like button. Please hit the like button to let other brothers and sisters know that we're broadcasting. We have over 2,000. We're good. Great work y'all doing with that. This is the lesson. This is going to be a broadcast that brothers and sisters, Elder Lawyer, can actually send, share with their family members or whatever the case might be. Right? And once they share that, you'll have very little pushback. Okay? When it comes to understanding who we are in the Bible. Why we're faced with such resistance. Why? That's right. The government structure has been set up to continuously, systematically lie to us. Psalms 137, Elder Lawyer, overcoming the lies in Babylon. Let's go. Psalms 137.
Yes, sir. Psalms 137, verse number 1.
Yes.
By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remembered Zion.
There we sat down. We wept when we remembered Zion. So this is a people who were taken from their homeland and longed for what? The time in which their families were together, exalting the God who gave Moses the law. Where we wept by the rivers of Babylon, where we wept remembering Zion, not Africa. Now, this is not to downplay Africa. Africa has become a wilderness outside of our homeland. It's an extension of Zion. But it's time that we as a people, we must stop sensationalizing our captivity, our wilderness, our wandering. Okay? Whoever ruled the land of Israel, which is Eden, rules the world. History shows this. During the time of the Crusades, when Islam became what? A force to be reckoned with against Christianity. And at a time they took power over Jerusalem. and look how fast they were able to multiply or do missionary in converting the earth, many people, to rival Christianity in a short time. Only took a few hundred years for them to rival Christianity because they was able to help fracture Jerusalem at a time where our people no longer existed there. The battle in the Middle East is a battle for Eden, because this is where the Most High made the first man. Out of the dust of the ground, he made Eden and gave that man dominion. So all throughout existence on earth, from that geography, whoever rules that position in the earth is the dominant. Okay? He's the power. This is why there's war in the Middle East. Because the true people of God has vacated that land. And we're in Babylon longing to see Zion again. This is why we're going to church, singing gospels and all these things, to try to cover up, to try to heal ourselves, to try to ask the Most High to forgive our sins and bring us back to him. This is why it doesn't matter. This is why 80% of your churches, I don't care if it's Christians, 80% of the Christians will be black people, will be Hispanic people, will be people of the indigenous people of the land. You have very few atheists amongst the children of Israel, even if we have flawed belief systems. Because why? Our spirit have been longing for the land we've lost. The North American Indians and others, since 721 BC, the land they lost. They came over to the Americas. This was paradise, and they lost this. We lost our homeland in 70 AD by the hand of the Roman Empire, Edomites. This is history that can be what? Confirmed outside of the Bible. Where we did what, Elder Lawyer?
By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remembered Zion.
We wept when we remembered Zion. Read.
We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof.
We hanged our harps upon the what?
The willows in the midst thereof.
Under the willows in the midst thereof. Brothers and sisters, when we were scorned or chastised or whipped down south, grown men, our forefathers in the South, would go under the weeping willow trees. It was called the weeping willow trees because this was a place that the men would go to cry in shame. Why? Because at once we were strong men. We were the sons. We were the arm bearers of David. It was one time the Most High would send us out in war without us losing one man. And we were ashamed because we couldn't defend our women. We tried everything, but we were outnumbered. We couldn't defend our women. So we would go just to hold our strength. We would hold our tears and go under a willow tree. We would run under a willow tree and just bawl out there. So that our children wouldn't see what? Their father less than, the husband less than, or brother less than. We were spiritually castrated because we were outnumbered. Y'all need to listen to this. Because what happened to us in slavery has become a generational curse where now we blame each other for the curse instead of working together to get from under it. We blame the sisters for the outcome of them being what? Subjected to the curse, and thereby with no man to protect them, having to be everything they could to survive. Not realizing this is how they made slaves. And we blame men for not being the defender we once were. Not realizing how we all got here together. And this is why the only process of healing that can happen for our people is to see this prophetically as God see it. To overcome this curse once and for all. And I'm going to tell you, the answers has always been in this Bible. Now, they tell you we weep upon the willows. When you look at the word willow, okay, under the Latin, you know what the tree, the weeping willow is called? The Babylonicus tree. The Babylonicus tree is what a weeping willow is called. You can find them, some in Asia, but the majority you can find are in the South. You know those trees that hang over like this? This is where men would go and cry. To hold their masculine, to not be seen as less than strong, knowing that we were outnumbered, brothers and sisters. Read on.
Verse 3. For they that carried us away captive required of us a song.
And they required of us a song. There's nothing new under the sun, folks. When you see, usually when something breaks out in our neighborhood, or they look to subdue a man, predominantly any man. Usually you have what? You have 5, 6, 7 guys looking to take down one man. Like in the police force or whatever. They'll put their knees on you and they'll hold you down. Another car come and they'll hold you down. Where do they get that from? Where do they get that from? The hog tying and holding. Because why? There was no way they could have taken us down one-on-one. So this is what men had to experience for a long period of time. Violence. Weeping. Now, of course, there's a good part of this that I'm going to discuss at the end of it. Because like I said earlier, we're not going to sensationalize Africa anymore. And anybody come what we used to be in Africa, we're going to laugh them out of the room. Okay? Because any Africans out there with any level of high understanding of what it takes, what the spiritual fortitude that it takes to get through what we've gone through, have nothing less than reverence and respect for what we have become after experiencing so much. Okay? We're going to laugh them out of the room. Anytime somebody come with some Africa sensationalizing, nah, we're not going to do that, because I've been to Africa. I've been to Egypt. There's Arabs running Africa. Okay? They're in Egypt. So don't try to sensationalize Egypt when you have no power in Egypt. The power is coming from the voice that's singing this new wine through the gospel, using God's word. And what we're doing here in Babylon is ringing through the whole earth, destroying lies. Right here, our experience right here has qualified us to help awaken all the leaders, the 144,000 throughout the four corners of the earth. If it wasn't for what we went through in slavery, you wouldn't see a ministry converting so many people throughout the earth, coming back to the knowledge of our people. We had to go through this experience. Who are we? We're the children of Israel. So we're not sensationalizing Egypt. Africa. Nah, we are exalting the true king who is Christ. And on top of that, we are exalting the 12 tribes of Israel. So that the 12 tribes can come back to the Most High and do what? Become a light to the Gentiles to change this world. The true purpose of Christ. So it doesn't matter what color you are, you can follow Christ, but there is priority. Come on, other lawyer.
Verse 3, for there they that carried us away captive required of us a song.
They required of us a song. When they took us away captive, they required us what? To be what? Entertainment. Entertainment. That's the only lane that they would allow us to have, that they allow us to have, total creative control over. Because what? That creativity comes from heaven. It comes from the Spirit. It cannot be duplicated. It's the only thing we can exercise freely that they couldn't take. Our gifts. The gift of song. To sing before the Almighty like the sons of God do every morning. That's right, under that choir called the Morning Star. The one thing they couldn't take from us is our gifts. And we would use that. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Over the river Jordan, let my people go. The true gospel music were what? Our people who were taken from the shores of Africa, singing songs of Zion on the shores of Babylon here in America. We weren't singing about the Nile River. We weren't singing about Africa. It was that spirit, remembering Zion, that have led to this awakening throughout the four corners of the earth you see present before you. It was that music singing to the Almighty that got us through. Even in church, in which was what? It was the wrong doctrine. It was pagan. It was all of that. But it was one thing, one component of our churches that other churches, Gentile churches, didn't have. You know what that was? The music. You can say what you want about the pagan days. We had no choice but to follow those days. That's what our slave masters were following. But there was something different between going to church with us compared to going to church with Catholics. Because when the music began, everyone everywhere knew that these people must be the children of God. So we may have differences in ideology. We may have the Most High is bringing us back to the knowledge. We all see through a glass dimly. But I'll tell you this, it doesn't matter what the doctrine was back then. We believed in God and Christ, and the music was like none other in the earth. Our experience through the music created something new in this earth. It's the only way we could express ourselves, the only expression we had that they couldn't take. Listen to what we're showing you here. Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. For there they that carried us away captive.
Hold up. And if y'all don't believe me, brothers and sisters, somebody show me the Whitney Houston. That anyone that's on a level of Whitney Houston that was born out of any other place in this earth. Michael Jackson, Luther Vandross, Stevie Wonder. This music was made out of what? Oppression. experience, struggle. Show me another Stevie Wonder somewhere. Hey, I'll tell you what. I'll show you the Jackson 5, and they'll show us the Osmonds. Okay? I'll show you New Edition, and they'll show you New Kids on the Block. And it's not to downplay whether or not other races of people are talented. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the former of all things. There'll never be music in the earth like the music that came through our struggle. And the majority of the great singers in this earth came directly out of the church singing the songs of Zion by the rivers of Babylon, where they carried away us captive. The Gentile slave masters did what? Desired a song, required a song. And this is what got us from the cotton fields into the big house. If they heard us singing out there and there was a get together or a gala or a ball going on in the plantation, this is what got us from the cotton fields into the big house. And into the big house is where that Bible was sitting on the mantelpiece. In the big house is where you can be like that spook beside the door and begin to understand how to strategize based on the conversations, the political conversations that were had there. See, the Most High had a plan through all of this also. That we would learn even through oppression. And take this experience to strengthen our relationship between us, our people, God's people, Israel, and him. Right? Now, this is how we overcome the lies of Babylon. We must do what? Strip ourselves of every name given us and take back the name of Israel. Every last one of us. Every last one of us. We're not black. We're not African American. We aren't colored. Okay? This is how we connect. The Most High gave us a name for a reason. When his word go out, it doesn't come back void. He named us Israel from the heavens for a purpose. Because the name of Israel comes with what? A responsibility of nobility. Listen to what we're saying here. Finish reading.
Verse 3. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us away required of us, or they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion.
Sing us one of those songs of Zion. Okay, the slave master and the Europeans and others over here weren't asking us to sing songs of Africa. Straight up. And another thing we have to do, we have to take on the name of Israel. Now, I'm going to go into Christ. I have to go into him because he's the one who has given us the spirit to understand everything we see today. But on top of taking on the name, brothers and sisters, we have to begin to do what? Cut off anybody out there. Anybody out there. And I'm speaking of out there on YouTube or any that would do what? That would begin to or continue to attempt to discredit the Bible or the Word of God. Anyone who is working effortlessly just to have you not read one book is of the devil. So, because the Bible is the only book that can actually explain what we've gone through the past, and where we're going. Because they'll try to take the book away, and then you'll say, well, okay, you know what? Let's entertain that. Okay, the Bible's tampered with. We're going to put the Bible to the side. Okay, and what's your answer again? Where's the law that's going to bring all of our people together to overcome what's going on against them in the earth? So we put the Bible away, then what's your answer? Where's the moral code? Where's the dietary code? Where's the civility that's written in ancient times that will teach us to overcome our issues with one another? Where's the wisdom to overcome some of these issues or experiences we are experiencing here in America? Huh? Where's the wisdom at? Where's the history of our people? Because everything I've just mentioned can be found in one singular book. One singular book. A moral code that if we use with each other, guess what? Our people would have been out of captivity already if we followed the 10 Commandments and followed the moral and civil laws that was given through Moses. The wisdom of Solomon, the wisdom in Ecclesiastes, Proverbs, to give us the understanding of the nature of sin. Okay. The Bible knows us better than we know ourselves. So anybody out there trying to discredit the Bible and their whole effort is to attack it, they must be of the devil. So it's no time to be debating people who are destined for hell. If you don't believe it, don't debate it, don't talk about it. Bring solution. That's another thing. We must take on the name and defend the book that what rallies the children of Israel, that gathers God's people. Come on, other lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 4.
Yes.
How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land?
Come on. How shall we sing the Most High's song in a strange land? Now, don't forget, brothers and sisters, this is talking about our people being brought into captivity, forced to sing music relating to our time in Israel. Right? And we're breaking down what? We're overcoming the lies we've been taught here in Babylon. The first lie was accepting any other name outside of Israel, being an Israelite. Because God don't know nobody called black or African American. These are political names used to usurp us. African American. Well, suppose someone who was oppressing someone in Africa, South Africa, and was born in Africa and was a citizen of Africa and is white and come over to America and do what? Gain citizenship in America. Technically, that's an African American. And what y'all don't know? If it's a woman, a white woman, she's a minority. So she could have oppressed us in South Africa, came to America, and now she's able to do what as a minority, as a citizen? Apply for finances under the Civil Rights Act as an African American. Did y'all know that? All these political names and all these names that we've been given was only to usurp us. It's time for us to take on the name God has given us and come close to him with that name and say, listen, I admit I've sinned against you. I've sinned against your law. I've sinned against your son. but now I'm taking on the name. I need you to ascribe that the name of my father, Jacob, and write it in my heart. I'm a true child of Israel. Right? And it tells us in the scriptures that we would ascribe the name of Israel. It tells us that in the prophets, that we would begin to call ourselves after the ancient names of Israelites. Finish reading.
Verse 5. If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning.
Come on.
If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth.
You hear what David said? He said, if I don't what? Get that first one, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 5.
When it says the right hand, my cunning.
Yes, sir. Verse 5.
Yeah.
If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning.
Hold up. If I forget my name, if I forget my land, let my right hand forget what? It's cunning. What is David saying here? If I forget Israel, all of my gifts and works will be used to build some other people, some other land, for some other God. But as long as I remember Israel, my right hand will be used to build my people. This is why he didn't want to forget his origin, his bloodline, his name, because he would forget his purpose. Our purpose as men, as an Israelite, is to bring Jacob back to the Father. I'm going to show y'all that. That's our purpose in life. It's not what we get degrees in. It isn't our livelihood or what other businesses we might have. Our overall objective at the end of the day is to bring Jacob back again to the Father. But if I forget my name, if I forget my tribe, my nation, then my cunning or my right hand will be used to do what? Build plantations for master. See? He says, don't ever let me forget my name. And we have people out there who would proudly state or claim that they're Gentiles. We have our people in the Christian church, in the black Christian church, holding themselves as Gentiles as some badge of honor. And guess what? It wouldn't be anything wrong if you were a Gentile. As far as no matter what race you are, you can accept Christ. But only our people hold on to Gentile as some badge of honor. Something is seriously wrong there. I don't hear no other people sensationalizing and highlighting that they're Gentiles, knowing that the promises in the Bible chiefly goes to the children of Israel. You see the people who are in the world that are moving and shaking, who are owning things? If Africa was the motherland, if Africa was a place to be, they would be calling themselves that. But why are they calling themselves after our land and leaving Africa to us? You know why? Because they understand the priority of rulership according to prophecy. They don't have to say they're anyone else. If they say they're God's people and run the land, they're going to control Africa anyway. And this is why in the New Testament, in the epistles, it states to the Jews first, then also the Gentiles. There's a priority or a pecking order. The problem our people have, we're satisfied being what? That's right. Last in the pecking order. We've embraced being low, not realizing that is not the position the Most High intended for us. Come on, Elder Lawyer. Last piece.
Verse 6. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth.
He says, if I don't remember who I am and who my God is and what land I'm from, let my tongue cleave to my mouth. I'd rather say nothing at all. And that's the idiocy out there with people who would downplay the importance of the book. With all the knowledge and education, and this is what the Bible is saying, ever learning but not really able to come to the knowledge of the truth. See? Because now when you speak, you'll be speaking with a purpose. When you understand that I'm Israel. Israel comes with a responsibility. What does Israel mean in Hebrew? To be a prince of God. Elder Lawyer, we're gonna tackle that Gentile thing in a moment, because they had immediately when our pastors go to theologian school, and I'm speaking of black pastors, they are immediately taught that they are Hamites and begin to peddle that garbage in our communities, knowing that what we're suffering in the communities have nothing to do with a Hamite curse. They done put us, Babylon have lied to us so, Elder Lawyer, they've actually put us in a whole nother family. Theologically. They'd have moved us from Shem and threw us into an entirely different family and got our people, educated, intelligent men going to the theologian school, coming back what? Twisted. There's no pastor on this earth who can read Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and think that that is relating to any other people outside of our people. You have to be insane in good faith, without trying to defend your theology. If you were to put your theology to the side for a moment and just read Deuteronomy 28, there's no other race of people on this earth who've experienced these curses outside of our people right here in America. And you're going to let the enemy teach you're some other people. And then, this is what they do, Elder Lawyer. On top of letting them teach us that we're someone else. Right? What they'll do now is that when an Israelite come to them and say, well, listen, I accept Christ. I don't hate people. All Israelites doesn't hate other races of people. That's ridiculous to think an Israelite is a person who hates white people. That's ridiculous. But they will try to play on that as if Israelites are a monolith, as if all Israelites believe the same thing. That's how stupid they think our people are. But then you have a thing here, Elder Lawyer, when it comes to this Gentile thing. If we were to tell a brother, listen, you are an Israelite, first thing coming to their mind is, well, hold up. God is love. They'll come with an emotion. Outside of what? Outside of prophetic history. Automatically, they're triggered to believe that if a black man accepts that he's an Israelite, he don't love other people. He doesn't love anyone else. Or, if I say I'm an Israelite, that's leaving other people out. It's only our people who don't have an identity that's always seeking inclusion, excuse me. Don't have an identity, but's concerned about everyone else making it. When the people that are claiming to be the people don't see it that way, because they understand that as God's people, it's a privilege. That's a privilege that's stated in the word that only goes to God's people. It's not how you feel. It's a privilege given by God. And see, and that's the backwardness of these so-called pastors in our community. When we say we're an Israelite, automatically they saying, well, hold up, man. We can't leave other people out. You think you're Ham, dude. You already left out. They've already left you out by teaching you a false ideology. Because through their theology, they leave you out without telling you. Every time you say you're a Gentile, every time you say you're a Hamite, when you read the Old Testament, you're left out of the promises. And according to the Bible, it's Israel who give what? Gifts to Gentiles. See? That means you predispose into believing that the people who are claiming to be the people are supposed to be at the top, peddling crumbs to you. Come on, Elder Lawyer, real quick. Before I go there real quick. And you see, and what frustrates me in this is because, Elder Lawyer, a brother called me on my way to set up the broadcast today. And he goes to Christian church and everything. He says, Elder, I've been following you for years. And brother, if you out there, call up tonight. And he says his pastor, a black pastor, can't get past the notion that he's from the seed of Ham, that he's a Hamite. And this is the mess that's going on in our communities. And you wonder why so many of our brothers and sisters are leaving the church, the Christian church, because singing, how great it has served this purpose. Our people are searching for knowledge. They're searching for God. They're searching for answers now. So you're going to need more in the church than good music for the next generation. And if you're gonna tell me that we're from the seeds of Ham and have me embrace that, you're gonna have to show me in the Bible that I'm from the seeds of Ham. Where is that at? And Elder Lawyer, one other thing I would like to say. I need you to go to Isaiah 49 where it talks about our position. I don't see no other race of people who are Gentiles and Christians identifying with a Gentile race in the Bible, but our people. You notice that? Not once did I see a Chinese Christian identify his or her Gentile nation. Not once have I seen a white person. Now, usually sometimes they say Greeks, when all whites aren't Greeks. So the only time you'll see a white person embracing a Gentile name is when they go Jew or Greek. I've yet to see an Arab or other nations who are Christians who embrace Gentile and will tell you the family of Gentiles they're from. It's as if we were programmed or taught to embrace Gentile in the family of Hamites. As if that's part of their exegesis. They targeted that type of doctrine to us without doing what? Conveying any other Gentile family to all other people who would come to Christ. Why? Why would they put us in an entirely different family outside of Shem? You know why? Because they know what it means if we find the truth. If we find out we're Israel. I need you to hold that, Elder Lawyer, and also get Revelation 7.
Yes, sir.
We have 2,000, almost 3,000. Y'all doing a great job. Hit the like button because we're going to hit some things tonight. I'm going to open up the calls in about 30 minutes. I apologize. I'm a little late, but work with me. Work with me, please.
All right. You want Isaiah first?
Isaiah, where it goes into the purpose of a black man, or purpose of an Israelite.
Yes, sir. This is Isaiah chapter 49, verse 5.
Yes.
And now saith the Lord that formed me from the womb to be his servant.
To be his what?
To Jacob. And now saith the Lord that formed me from the womb to be his servant.
To be his servant. To be his servant. Now, if you are a servant of God, that means you are a pastor or a preacher. The Bible gives you what? A description for your ministry on what to do and who to target first. If you're a servant of God, you're going to do exactly what Christ said do first as a servant. And don't forget, when Christ was walking the earth, there was no such testament as the New Testament. So when servants were established, he was setting up servants according to the word written in the Old Testament. He was setting his disciples up with what? This playbook. The schoolmaster. Okay, if I'm going to be a pastor, what is my direction? What is my calling? Christ, if I'm to be a minister for you, a servant for you, what is my calling? Your calling is not to do the first thing come to your mind and what God put some thoughts in your mind to do or say. That's not your calling. Okay? This particular job comes with an description. A servant. To do what, elder lawyer?
And now saith the Lord that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him.
To do what?
To bring Jacob again to him.
To bring Jacob back to God. That's your job, pastor. Now, if you don't know who Jacob is in the earth, well, blame that on the theologian school, who taught you to ignore God's people and to make you believe it's okay to think that you know this book, but yet state claim or state publicly it doesn't matter who God's people are. I would look at someone sideways who say they know God and don't know his people. In the book, you're telling me I must respect as the word of God. Right? Read that last piece again, other lawyer.
Yes, sir. And now saith the Lord God that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him.
To bring Jacob again to him. Read.
Though Israel be not gathered.
Though Israel, hold up, in case Christians or pastors don't know what people God is talking about here. Though what?
Though Israel be not gathered.
Though Israel be not gathered. So pastors, your job is to do what? Find them. Find them. They're suffering in the earth. They're being targeted under all these lying programs. At the end of the day, it's our people suffering. God's people suffering. You're trusting Pharaoh. You're trusting Egypt and stay thereon. Egypt was the government that was destroying our people. And you're in the churches pushing Egyptian legislation. Pharaoh's command to destroy God's people. Read.
Though Israel be not gathered.
Though Israel be not gathered. Read.
Yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Lord, and my God shall be my strength.
Yet I shall be glorified in the eyes of the Lord, and the Most High shall be my strength. How many people out there, countless numbers of people, have stated on countless occasions, gratitude for that lesson the 12 lost tribes found. And when I see people try to attack the sign and the 12 tribes, I'm like, you know what? I can understand why the devil would do that. Because they would be better off not knowing or not caring who the Israelites are on the earth than someone identifying them. See? Because if you're not identified as a child of Israel, then there's no responsibility to the name. You can continue in sin and feel justified. See, as a Gentile, you can walk through this earth without rules, without any accountability. See? But if you start to believe or understand that you are a child of God, then at that point, you're pressed with the rules that comes with the people. And some of our people just don't like rules. We'd rather be Gentiles. Call me Hamites, because why? Hamites isn't accountable to a law. See? Hamites don't have to deal with the responsibility of what? Leading. So I understand why people attack the 12 tribes and all that. But let me tell you, no one can say that the 12 tribes chart or the 12 tribes sign is wrong. Unless they can say, well, no, these aren't the 12 tribes. I have found the 12 tribes, and here they are. See, now that can open a dialogue, but they won't do that either. Because they would have to bring forth the history and do what? Stand on their research. So it's easy to say, well, it doesn't matter. We don't know who the 12 tribes are. It doesn't matter. That's wrong. Lazy. When you say something is wrong, you are implying that you are the person that understands that and who knows what's right. So even if you're going to constructively criticize something to go against, replace it with something better. Replace it with something better. Bring the information that would prove this wrong so that we can take on your truth and find the 12 tribes of Israel. Elder Lawyer, I want to deal with this Gentile thing in a minute, right? I want to deal with that.
Yes, sir.
As soon as I come back, I have a video to show that goes into some of what the men experienced in slavery, the buck breaking side of things. It's only 5 minutes. It's a video I want to show first, right? And then after I show that, we can open up the commentary. We'll break down this Gentile thing real quick. And then after that, open up the calls. Okay, what is our show today? Or our broadcast this evening? Overcoming the lies of Babylon. One of the lies, we're claiming that the blacks in America were Hamites or African. Okay? A great lie. A great lie, folks. How many times we renamed ourselves? Transformations. We went from Negro to black. From Negro to colored, from colored to black, from black to African Americans. And it's deep that since the shores of Africa, since we came from the shores of Africa, all these identities, right? And since the shores of Africa, the white man have always been white. Without having to change his names over and over, he's just been white. The sign of what? A lost race. Anytime you got to switch yourself up and reinvent yourself, you must be from the lost tribes of Israel. You must be the lost people. So I'm going to do that real quick. Come right back, make one more announcement. And then after that, Elder Lawyer, you can get some commentary, but we're going to break down the Gentile thing and slay that garbage once and for all. Okay. All right. So let's do that real quick. We'll be right back. Hold tight. And have one moment. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. All right. Okay, Elder Lawyer, I'm about to play this video. Okay. And let me give credit where credit is due to the brother. All right. His channel, I Am Black Planet. And again, I don't have to agree with with anyone's ideology out there to actually, give someone credit where credit is due. All right. Here's this is some of what our people experienced in slavery. All right. And I'm going to go through that. Again, I would like to announce we're at week 4 of the Hebrew and Bible Academy. Who is Edom? Comes up this coming, this lesson, week 4. Who is Edom? The real rulers of this earth under Satan. Who is Edom? The rulers of this earth under Satan. How they were able to turn the children of Israel from black to white. This coming Sunday. Right? Also, good news for those who missed the announcement. The downloads for the Hebrew and Bible Academy are back. They are back. So if you are a part of the Academy, you can download the prior ones missed and going forward to have on your platform, to have on your device, so that you don't have to worry about trying to jump through hoops to actually to review it. Even after the Academy, you'll have the content to study over and over and over again. So I wanted to make sure I make that announcement for you real quick. And you would go to historytimes.org. historytimes.org to enroll. Another thing, the calendars are here. Those who pre-ordered should have received your calendars, okay? These calendars give you the correct time of year for holy days. If you're just following the moon, you're off. You're following the Babylonian Talmud time through Judaism. Okay? You cannot use that particular metric to determine holy days. Holy days is what? Are on a 364-day cycle. See? We break down the cycle. Give you the scriptures to do so, to understand how the Sabbaths work. And yes, as you can see, there's even a bonus month in the calendar, one of the greatest calendars to be compiled. Ahia, God of All Comfort 2022 Hebrew calendar. Okay. Okay, it has a bonus money in there. Make sure, I'm glad you got yours, Deidre. And if this interests you, go to gatheringofchrist.org. Gatheringofchrist.org. Okay. Elder Lawyer, are you back? I don't know if Elder Lawyer is back yet. Oh, yeah, he just got back. Great. All right. So let's go to the video, Buck Breaking, the Hidden and Untold Story, because, again, it seems as if we in this earth, after living under generational curses, it's the man blaming the woman for a position programmed in her as a defense mechanism to stand up and take what? To take power and to defend her boys. Right? So it seems like we look at that, and it's not to understand it or actually agree with it. It's to point to the dysfunctions that we must overcome and forgive each other if we experience some of the programming while we what? While we reform ourselves to the knowledge of our people. We have to be patient with one another. So there's a lot of things our women took on for the sake of self-preservation after what was experienced. It doesn't excuse their behavior, but it says a lot about what goes on with our women opposed to other women who didn't have to experience generationally what they experienced, what they seen. And by the same token, men were raised not to be taken advantage of. So women had to protect the young boys like they were girls, afraid of what Massa or these hoodlums, these Edomite hoodlums would do against their sons. See, but now men are overcoming that particular spirit. And it's because Zion, the spirit of that lion, has awakened. And the struggle is, because there's a non-trust, a man is trying to take the reins and a woman is still in that protection mode that was a part of the generational curse. And it's butting heads. It's butting heads. This is what we had to go through. And what is our show today? Overcoming the lies of Babylon. Because the enemy, let me tell you what the enemy would do. If you're going to make if you're going to make slaves, you have to have the slaves, man and woman, inherently throughout generations. You must set an environment in which they would loathe one another. There's a love there, but they're really not going to like each other. Okay, that like and respect and reverence goes to what? Massa. And genetically, inherently, we've been programmed that way. To loathe each other. We can bear each other for what we want, for the fun, all the fun stuff. But really, what a man is in this system, as a son of Zion, it's hated. And vice versa. A daughter of Zion, the image of the daughter of Zion, is hated. So I'm putting this out there so that we can look at the curses and what has happened to us. Not for sympathy, but just to do what? As a point for understanding. And from that point, once we recognize that really a lot of our actions are through what? Dysfunction with survival mechanisms, we can begin to overcome it and realize that's a cursed people. Now that I know what cursed people are, now I'm not going to sensationalize or celebrate that behavior. It's time to overcome the dysfunction. right? But we must first understand how we got here. Hold tight. I need y'all to look at this video for me real quick. It's only 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy. One's called buck breaking. The process of breaking the buck involves one of the most heinous and atrocious acts known to man. A slave who was defiant,
The Bible.
and may stir up trouble, was beaten with a whip until bloody in front of his entire slave congregation. Acts known to man. A slave who was defiant and may stir up trouble was beaten with a whip until bloody in front of his entire slave congregation. The slave owner, afraid of an uprising, would cut down a tree, and with the top and the help of the overseer, would then beat the defiant buck into submission. Once the slave was worn down, the master had the other slaves force that slave over a tree stump, where they were then laid naked and exposed. What came next caused fear and terror to ripple through every slave plantation across the South. The master would explain to all the other slaves that if they did not follow strict orders and comply with the whims of the overseers and the masters, this too would be their fate. The master would then remove his clothing and proceed to sodomize the slave in front of his wife, family, friends, and children.
Fair use.
He would then invite his friends from other plantations to join in the raping festivals. In order for this plan to take effect, he would require the slaves' children to watch, front row center, so they too could witness their parents' sexual demise and humiliation. Buck breaking was the slave's master's very effective tool to keep all slaves from ever being defiant and taking revenge. It also frightened the mothers and wives from ever giving consent to an uprising. Buck breaking was so successful that it was made into a sex farm where free men would travel from plantation to plantation, raping different slaves, from child to adult. In popular urban songs, you will even hear the term buck nigga used against another person to demean them, such as calling them weak or gay. This is where this term came from. So does this still exist today? Indeed it does. It is, however, no longer just a slave issue. It's in our prison systems. When people get out of line, prison rape or bucking is an effective way of making sure one is, well, demeaned in a way to where they will no longer be respected. This is done by guards and inmates as a way of showing dominance, and no one is immune. If you Google prison rape statistics, you will see a horrible number still out there, and even events to where it has been shown the guards have allowed it to happen to unruly inmates and would even sometimes participate. So I ask this question: have we really changed, even after all this time? I also wonder why this isn't discussed more. Is it because people just don't care? Or is it because of some kind of cover-up started many years ago to maybe hide homosexual tendencies or deviant tendencies? This truly looks like history to me, even if it is untold, hidden history. Thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share all my videos. Peace out. Mahalo. Have a great day.
Okay. The hidden part of history that they don't want us to know. Buck breaking. how first, when we were brought over, there was a scenario in which usually it would be the slave masters class, the hoodlums they would get from Europe to hold us down and do things like this, while our women and children looked on. Eventually, they would actually train our men to buck break other men. Okay? And we have to realize the psychological damage that puts on a people, that place on a people. The psychological damage that would do to not only just the man or the son. The Bible says, give honor to the woman as the weaker vessel. Can you imagine the damage that does to a woman's psyche? To see how strong we were in Israel before the fall, how strong we were even in Africa, the greatest warriors, to only be broken by other men here in Babylon. To a point where a woman eventually would move towards what? Self-preservation. If her own man cannot protect her, what are the options she has to survive? Now she goes into a protection mode for the survival of herself and her children, which brings forth a systematic, generational curse. It isn't on purpose. It was done for the sake of survival. But through that generational curse, it did what? It threw the family of the Israelites who are over here in America and made us what? Unbalanced. The only people in the earth who are ran by a matriarchy. The only people in the earth who are actually controlled and ran by a matriarchy. And by so, no empire, even till this day, could bear and stand rule with women as a matriarchy controlling the empire. By so, will always be predisposed to slavery. And they know it. They know it. So right now, there's a lot of conversations going on, uncomfortable conversations on either side with men and women, but the conversation is happening. And guess what? There will be no backing down. Either we fix this and move and make a patriarchy over the matriarchy, or the children of Israel. Okay. Or the children of Israel will be in serious, serious danger. The Bible tells us that 90% of us will be destroyed. And it has a lot to do with this struggle. What we experienced as a people were together. When we was on those slave ships, suffering under those slave ships, we suffered together. When we couldn't vote, that was together. Okay? The 40 acres and the mules taken away, the Jim Crow laws, we did all those things together. Okay? We did those things together. And I'm going to tell you, even after the buck breaking thing happened, something happened where the matriarchy started gaining traction. I mean, before the matriarchy, the patriarchy, even though the buck breaking and all that happened, the men started doing what? Planning. Okay? Constructing towns. Everybody talk about the Black Wall Street. There's other things that been swept under the rug that was destroyed, that was on par with Black Wall Street, where it was men trying to gain position so that what? We as a people, we as men would be respected amongst our families, where our women could look and respect the hard work and valor that it would take from a slave to get from here to here. Right there, looking Esau right in the eye and saying, you know what? We on your heels. So there was some progression. Martin Luther King. No one looked at Coretta Scott as weak. Malcolm X. No one looked at Betty Shabazz as weak. But we were lied to in Babylon. And I'm going to say it again. Yeah, we had the buck breaking and all those things, and women, it started doing what? Putting our women in a defensive posture, a protective posture. Okay? Now, let me say this though. A lot of the conversations that need to be had amongst brothers and sisters, one moment. A lot of those conversations will be had off video without it being broadcast. Okay? We're going to have to start having conversations for self-preservation, because let me tell you, the way we are amongst each other, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm talking about the children of slaves. That has a quick, guess what? That has an expiration date. So a conversation have to be had where men will embrace who it is to be Judah, Benjamin, Levi, a child of Israel, a man of Israel, and get respected. And what that position entails, taking on that responsibility and what it entails according to God. And the women will embrace what it is to be a daughter of Zion, us both for the sake of survival. We're not going to be able to use the buck breaking, what happened to us in slavery, and all these other things as an excuse. For the sake of self-preservation, we're going to have to see eye to eye according to the word of God and respect each other's positions according to God for the sake of surviving. If we were able, and I'm saying brothers and sisters, whatever we did to survive or to get here, okay, listen to me what I'm saying here. If we did what we needed for self-preservation in fear of the enemy coming against us, how much more should we come together for self-preservation now? On another level, on a greater level. If we can come together and, if we can do certain things for the sake of preservation because we went through slavery, then now we can adapt to what it takes to be a child of God and understand what self-preservation means under that. Right? Elder Lawyer, before I open up the lines here, I need you to come in real quick.
Yes, sir.
Right? Before I open up the calls, oh man, I'm running late, but it's okay. I started late. For years, Christian Church, Elder Lawyer, has stated in particular, when pointing out Gentiles, that blacks and poor people in America, or whatever the case is, the indigenous people, the North American Indians, black people in general, were Gentiles. All right. Where did they get the notion to teach through their exegesis or through their theologian schools that blacks were Gentiles?
Is that a question?
That's a question. I'm opening it to you.
Okay.
Because,
on a surface level,
because we're overcoming the lies of Babylon. And one of the greatest lies was them telling our people out of slavery that we were Gentiles according to the Bible.
right, right. Yeah, on the surface level, pretty much anyone who is outside of the with a or who is universally accepted as the Jew or the Jewish people are identified as Gentiles, including Black people, whether it be Asians, whether it be so-called regular white people, East Indians. Just on the surface level, anyone outside of what they consider or accept as the Jews, they label automatically as Gentiles.
Okay. So we know that according to the Bible and the Bible dictionary, Zondervan, that a Gentile is determined as what? A non-Israelite.
Right.
Someone outside of the physical 12 tribes of Israel were determined Gentile. It wasn't until our modern time that that definition changed. Right? That you must be, if you're Jewish, you are a child of God. And if you are not Jewish, if you are a Gentile, be it you white, Black, Asian, automatically puts you under a class of Gentile. So that's when it changed in the modern time. In the ancient time, it was any people outside of the 12 physical tribes of Israel. Right?
Right.
Now, let me real quick, what I would like to do on the screen here, 1 second. And we're going to break down this Gentile thing, but on the back of your answer to that, right? On the back of your answer, let me move this to the side, right? And let's get this here. One moment. Let's get this. Okay, on the screen. Okay, I hope you all can see that. Yeah, you should be able to see that clearly. On the screen, here's the modern day definition of Gentile. Now, in the Christian church, they're teaching that the Gentiles are not God's people, but through Christ, they are accepted, which implies that you are not accepted as a Gentile if you don't receive Christ. Now, at least, Elder Lawyer, through Christianity, there is an opportunity for Gentiles to take some part of our, what you would call, Abrahamic belief under Christianity. Right. But there's something different when it comes to Judaism. Judaism, they don't believe in Christ. They don't accept Christ as the Savior. Right? Judaism rejects Christ as the Messiah. So that option that's on the table in the New Testament isn't afforded under Judaism, unless a Gentile, Elder Lawyer, chooses to convert to Judaism. But if a Gentile convert to Judaism, he or she must renounce their belief in Christ as the Messiah. Right? See, I like to break it down on its simplest terms because a lot of our people grow up in the church and really don't understand how a lot of these religions, what the core belief of some of these religions are. We would readily accept Jewish people as the chosen people, not realizing the core beliefs that comes with Judaism. Now, is there Messianic Jews out there, or Messianic people, or Europeans who believe that they're the Israelites and have extended the same Christian doctrine to Gentiles? Yes, that's out there too. But for the sake of conversation, let's break it down, right? Gentile. People also ask, now if you Google this, it'll say, people also ask, what is a Gentile person? Gentile. A person who is not Jewish. The word stems from the Hebrew term goy, which means a nation, and was applied both to Hebrews and to any other nation. Strictly speaking, however, any non-Jew is a Gentile, right? Any non-Jew is a Gentile according to their definition. Now, what you didn't know, that one of the old laws of the Old Testament that should apply, that still apply, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Well, when the Orthodoxy Jews, who believe that you're not supposed to do anything on the Sabbath, has a rule, right? That they're not to work on Sabbaths, but suppose their business thrives on the Sabbath, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I'm showing you here, what is a Gentile person? A lot of people don't know this. This is just, you're getting educated here. The modern day definition of a Gentile is a non-Jew, as a Jew, what's a Jew portrayed as of today. If you're outside of what's presented as a Jew today, you are Gentile, according to Christian theology too, right? But there are Orthodox Jewish people who don't believe that they should work on the Sabbath or do anything on the Sabbath, but still need their business to thrive. So another name for a Gentile, let me blow this up, is what? Goy. Is goy. Goy. Right? So let's concentrate on that word goy for a second. What is a Shabbos goy? A Shabbos goy. Oh, we getting into it now. A Shabbos goy. Listen to this. A Shabbos goy is a non-Jew. Now that's a Gentile. That's a Gentile. Is a non-Jew who is employed by Jews to perform certain types of work that the Jewish religion law prohibits a Jew from doing on the Shabbat. What's a Shabbos goy? Gentiles can break the law on the Sabbath to work and make money for them. But they are not to do it themselves, because they, as a priority, have a higher calling in keeping the Sabbath that was commanded out of the Torah. Now, in actuality, according to the Bible, of course, I know the ethic things come in, but there's no, breaking ethics here when a Gentile don't know the value of not working on the Sabbath. So what they're doing is they're not working on the Sabbath, but they're paying somebody else to do it so that their business continue to run. But they're not going to break the law knowing what comes with it. Why? There's an obligation and a priority once you take the name. With the Gentiles, there is no priority. There is no accountability to God like that. How many of y'all knew that? So technically, what they're doing is saying, well, listen, I'm not breaking the law, but the Gentiles aren't accountable to laws anyway. They're not accountable to the law, so I'll have them work my job for me. It's called Sabbath Goy. Okay? Now, as a Gentile, as a Christian Gentile, folks, listen to me clearly. There is no responsibility to law. There is no responsibility outright to God's law. And in fact, they'll make you believe you're doing something wrong by following the law. Because only a holy people, a regal people, take responsibility to that law. See? And they leave the heathenistic activity for heathens. Now, I think, hold up. I think, Elder Lawyer, I think it has begun to resonate to why they teach our people in the ghetto, in the hood, that we're Gentile. That we're Gentile, that we're heathen, because these people aren't accountable to any law. See? And then they'll promote criminality to give some level of credence to that stereotype, to that image. And what we're saying, these are the lies of Babylon, that if our brothers and sisters find out, our pastors start to find out, we can begin to break the curse and come back to the Almighty and know that you can follow the Sabbath. You can keep the commandments. You can follow God without converting to anything, because what? It was already in us. It's our bloodline, not according to conversion, not according to religion. We are the bloodline of Israelites, brothers and sisters, and we're suffering for breaking God's law. We're suffering for it. So, Elder Lawyer, let's go down to the scripture where they would try to claim that we are Gentile. Where did they get that from? Let's get the scripture real quick.
The book of Genesis, chapter 9, and verse number, I'll get straight to the point.
Yes.
Verse number 24. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant.
Okay, Elder Lawyer, how in the world that they were able to get blacks, hold on, how were they able to get blacks being Gentiles or Hamites out of that? So how exactly are they teaching this in the theologian schools that would have our pastors go back believing that we're from the cursed seed of Ham?
Right. So the whole idea is that obviously we know that Ham is the father of the so-called African races, the dark races. So black people must come up under one of those particular tribes or one of those particular nations out of Ham. And it just so happens in the Bible that one of the seeds of Ham or Ham himself committed a sin against his father, and one of his sons was cursed because of that sin. And the curse just so happened to be servitude. Our people serve slavery or servitude, and therefore we must somehow, some way be associated with that curse.
Oh, so it's not a direct teaching that would have us understand that we're Hamites. It's almost it's not direct.
Yeah, by process of elimination.
It's by process of some type of elimination. It gives a convenient answer to a longing question amongst our people. Why slavery? And it's, hold on. Let me fix this. So they're slick, man. So they knew, the European powers knew, that after our people were stripped of their knowledge and understanding, family, off the shores of Africa, that the children of slaves would begin to seek their true origin, right? So conveniently amongst the Christian theologians, they said, well, we need a scripture that can relate them to servants, but not have them understand that they're Israelites, and went straight to what? Canaan. But here's the problem with that, Elder Lawyer, that process of elimination. The Canaanites first went into Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, how did they historically, geographically connect Ham to the people who actually went into the Ivory Coast? There is no connection theologically. There's no place theologically that they can show the Canaanites going into West Africa, then going to the shores, coming to the shores of America. So they just thought by them using the word servant, that information would be enough for pastors to take back, to give our families the understanding to why God would put people in captivity. Have I surmised that correctly there, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir.
All right. So if that's the case, if they're going to use the Bible to show slavery or servitude, why didn't they show Deuteronomy 28? Why? A matter of fact, Elder Lawyer, let's go there real quick. Go to Jeremiah 17, and let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and just pull out a few scriptures here.
Jeremiah chapter 17, verse number 5, or verse number 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
So the Most High said that the Israelites, that's who he's speaking to in the Old Testament, for breaking his laws, statutes, and commandments, that the Israelites would discontinue from their heritage that he gave Israel. That means the Israelites would lose what? Their identity or knowledge of self in captivity. The last thing a slave master is going to do is teach a slave information that would lead him to understand what? That would lead him to understand that he's not supposed to be one. That's the last thing they're going to teach you. They're going to give you information to justify how they're treating you. They're from the cursed seed of Ham. Now, that's a lie from the pits of hell. If you were going to show servitude, you would go directly to 28 and 15 of Deuteronomy. Let's go there, Elder Lawyer, and then open up the calls in a minute.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy 28, verse 15.
Read.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So why didn't they take our people that's in the Christian churches to these curses? You know why? Because that places us in the family of Shem, not Ham. Here's some curses right here. Why go directly to the cursed seed of Ham? Because it places us in a different family altogether. We'll never find the reason we went into captivity here in America searching through the family of Ham. They knew it. It was a black hole. They put us theologically in an entirely different family, knowing that it was a black hole without any history in which we can actually find ourselves. And also, if they would have went to Deuteronomy 28, that would have put us in the family of Shem. And by us being those people, more questions would arise that the power structure really don't want to answer. If we're the people, then who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If we're the people,
Right.
What is this? How are we on the bottom and your people on the top? So instead of answering those questions, knowing where the road might lead, they lied to us here in Babylon and told our forefathers in the Christian church out of the book of God that we were Ham. They lied like they always do. Because the Bible makes it clear. They lied with the Bible in front of them and told us that we were from the seeds of Ham. Now, Elder Lawyer, let's see this curse real quick. 64, Deuteronomy 28 and 64. What curse?
Deuteronomy 28, verse 64.
And
the Lord shall scatter thee.
Hold up, Elder, before you go, right? I noticed that a lot of other Christian churches are going into Deuteronomy 28 now to try to prove that we're not Israelites. But
Right.
why did it take us going there to prove we were Israelites for you to actually touch on this at all? This Bible has been on the mantelpiece of my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandfather, since the ships came to the shores of America with the same Deuteronomy 28. Not once did they teach that in our Christian churches. Now, all of a sudden, they want to touch on Deuteronomy 28 when the whole time, they lied, telling us we're from the cursed seeds of Ham with no proof, no historical proof of how Canaanites got from the land of Canaan to the western Ivory Coast. No history whatsoever, but I can show you history from the Europeans that proves that the Israelites ran into Africa after falling to Vespasian and Titus. From the Roman Caesars of 70 AD. That's history. I don't need to go into the Bible to prove that. It's in their history that we ran into different parts of Africa. They knew that we were the Jews. Well, from the tribe of Judah, because Jew is really a short term that was placed on a lot of us also who lived in Judea. There were two types of Jews. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, who lives in Judea. And there were European Jews who converted during the time of Hyrcanus. Hundreds of years before we lost the homeland. Okay, let's make it clear. There were two types of conversions. The conversion during the time of the Maccabees, where the Edomite Idumeans converted into Judaism, and they brought forth Antipater as well as Herod the Idumean, who sought to kill a black child by the name of Yeshua or Yeshua or Jesus. So there's two forms of Jews during the time of Christ. The converted Idumeans who were European, and the Judah, Benjamin, and Levi who were in the land until we were destroyed by Vespasian and Titus, two European Edomites in 70 AD. And at that point, we began to lose, through time, knowledge of that conflict, knowledge of our homeland. Now, I'm going to be dropping this and more this coming Sunday, folks. Historical proof from their records. They purposely lied to our children on the shores of America by telling us that we're from the seeds of Ham or Gentile. Gentile means what? You're not accountable to God as God's people. That you were born to be a servant when they should have came here. Don't get no, hey, do we get any clearer than that? That's why I say, point somebody to this video. And let me tell you, if they don't know that they're Israel after seeing this, there's no convincing them. I'm speaking of our people. Finish reading. Read the 64th verse of the Lord.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64.
Come on.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth, even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Hold up now. I will scatter you throughout the four corners of the earth in areas your forefathers know not, did not know. Like America. Like America, folks. By the rivers of Babylon. There we wept when we remembered Zion. Huh? Yeah, bringing it around full circle. We were scattered. We lost our identity. That's why every other year we pick up a new identity. Black, colored, Negro, African American. Nah. We're the children of God through blood. That's why they're targeting our blood now. That's why they put us all in a database during Barack Obama's time so that they can do what they're doing now. We're under a genome attack. They're after a bloodline, folks, the chosen bloodline. And wait till I show y'all what I have on Patreon this coming Friday, where some woman falls sick because she believed whatever they told her. And they said, well, it wasn't supposed to happen to her because she don't fall under a certain group. Something must have happened because she's not a part of the group that should be experiencing these issues. And that's all I can say on that. But I'm going to bring that Friday. But go on, Elder Lawyer. Oh, yeah. Wait till y'all hear it Friday. They weren't they weren't surprised what the person was experiencing. But she wasn't a part of the group that was supposed to be experiencing these effects. These ill effects she was dealing with. Well, wait till y'all hear that one. Friday, Patreon. I can't go through that here, but wait till y'all hear that. But go on, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 68.
68.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
And the Most High will what?
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
See that? Right off the top. You shall go into Egypt a second time by the way of ships. Egypt means bondage. When you go to Exodus 13:3, it says the house of bondage. So you're going into slavery again. Now, there's no recorded place in history where the Israelites went back to ancient Egypt to serve like they did before. That was a prophetic scripture speaking of what? Babylon, the new Egypt, the same place, they would deal with the same spirit that enslaved our people during ancient Egypt's time. Hence the reason why on your dollar bill you have the Great Pyramid Giza. The same ideology that enslaved God's people in ancient Egypt has been constructed under this new place that the Bible identifies as Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon. That the book of Revelations identify. Babylon means confusion because all the nations would come together like the Tower of Babel to bring order out of their chaos. But it's also in the book of Revelations is written that the land that's spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Sodom, based on the perverted sexual lifestyles that would be promoted from here, along with Egypt, the place that enslaved God's people, the place that refused to let God's people go. See? It says, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt a second time by the way of what?
With ships.
With ships. With ships. No other people, including the people claiming to be the people today, can stake claim that their people went through this prophecy. You can't go into some modern day oppression and compare it to what our people experienced through slave ships, through the transatlantic slave ships. Folks, that was a what? That was transportation of biblical proportions. And you cannot tell me something like that, so profound in history, wouldn't be written in the book of God. That was a sign so that our children could wake up and realize, well, hold up. Where's the history where a million Chinese people went into captivity like this through slave ships? Where is the history where white people went through this? But then you have to do another sort of research. You have to see what people that were financially benefiting from the ports, the slave ships, the transportation of slaves. And you have to look at their persuasion and religion and say, well, hold up, this doesn't fit. How can you be the people selling the people of prophecy, claiming to be the people of prophecy? It doesn't make sense. You don't, Johnny Cochran, where that glove at? If it don't fit, you must have quit. Read it one more time, Elder. Let's do it. If y'all think this is something, folks, I'm going to tell you. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, who is Edom? I'm going to go into who's Edom. I'm going to track him from the Caucasus. I'm going to track him from Mount Seir to the Caucasus Mountains, where he was set up in Italy, up into what? Modern day royalty over the earth. And I'm going to show you how they began to switch the color so that they can confirm the false theology of black people or our people being from the cursed seed of Ham. I'm going to identify all of the Edomites who were behind that this coming Sunday. Come on, get that last piece of the Lord, and then I'm going to open the calls.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy 28, verse 68.
Come on.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
Thou shalt see it no more again, which means, brothers and sisters, they know it too. This is our last captivity. And guess what? The power structure are shaking in their boots, because when we were emancipated, in the amendment of emancipation, it said the only way we could stay free as slaves would be what? The only way we could be free is to be upstanding citizens. But if we're criminalized or if we commit a crime, we're no longer covered under the emancipation. We're no longer free. See? So a lot of you don't know within the amendment of freeing slaves that if any level of criminality that would put us right back in captivity. I'm going to deal with that again this coming Sabbath. This is why they set up the prison complex. And on top of the prison complex, they began to promote lethal injection to slowly program us into believing that it's ethical to inject someone with something that can give them what? A peaceful, ethical death because of criminalization, because they did a heinous crime. Now, on the surface, it sounds like a good idea. But what happens if certain injections now are authorized? So they promote the criminality within our system. We lose our right of freedom. And now we're back in prison, forced to do what? Serve slave labor for the corporations which were once the plantations. And now, based on the last 2 years, they can tie it all in a little bow and give it a convenient name to why, you know what I mean? Why someone, is resting in peace. Right up under our noses. Right? Right up under our noses. And they can just call and tell our family member, don't worry about it. They came down with it, but it's all good. It's all tied up in a bow. You got a convenient excuse to say why your loved one is no longer, that your loved one is dearly departed. I'm saying as much as I can say, but I'll go into it more. And that's why, we go into more deeper details and things that we can discuss on Patreon in respect of YouTube guidelines. And I respect the guidelines here. And the Academy, it's just no holds barred. We just let it out. But the last piece again, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
That means this is the last slavery. Read.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
And there you shall
no
be
man
sold.
Shall buy you.
I'm sorry. I know there's a little delay between you and I, Elder Lawyer. It's okay. I'll let you read it all the way out and then I'll break it down. I'm sorry. Go on.
Yes, sir. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
For a slave man and a slave woman, and no man shall buy you. Now, you can't be sold without being purchased. So it's not saying that no man is going to buy you. It's talking about redeem. No man will be able to purchase us out of this condition. Marcus Garvey tried, Malcolm tried, Martin Luther King. But no, only one man was worthy to pay a price. He would have to be a lamb without blemish, which was prophesied in the Old Testament, to shed his blood for the sins of our nation, which would give us an adoption back into our original fold, back into the covenant of sons. And that's Christ. And they even lied on him by trying to claim that he was a Caucasian. Lies, lies, lies. How do we overcome the lies in Babylon? You know how? the truth, whether people hear or forbear. And our people, even if you don't want to accept that you're from the seed of Israel, doesn't matter. You're still going to suffer the curses on Israel. It's just that it gives us an advantage to understand who we are and who the enemy is and who our God is. Either way, the enemy is coming at you, whether you accept your Israel or not, because they know the threat that comes with what? The chance of you finding out. See, you can change your mind at any time, and the enemy isn't going to chance that. So it's best to actually cleave to who you are, to understand the rules of engagement based on your national origin according to prophecy. Because the enemy is coming after our people. So I don't care if you want to deny it because your pastor didn't tell you. You want to deny it because it conflicts with everything you thought was true. Doesn't matter. Pick up your Bible and read. And since they want to use elder lawyer process of elimination, what other people in the earth fits the curses of Deuteronomy 28? Any other people. You can throw in any race of people, any ethnicity of people, a people of any religion, and you tell me what race of people experience what we read in Deuteronomy 28. We're the people, folks. And it's time we overcome the lies of Babylon, because why? Now you understand that we're Jacob. Then you'll start to understand what it means to live through Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble. And I'm going to tell you this. I don't care what campaign they have out there, folks. It's always misdirection. At the end of every campaign, it's your children, our families, and those who believe in God between the crosshairs. And you're not going to understand this unless you first understand the history of how the governments has always came against our people. From the Babylonian Assyrian captivity, all the way through the Grecian, the Roman powers overruling us and crucifying Christ and coming after the disciples, hanging us on trees to the point where we had to flee into Timbuktu. And the Arabs found us there in the Golden City, Judah, in Timbuktu, and went and told the Romans, and they came with an army and destroyed our Golden City. That was before the Ivory Coast. That was before Black Wall Street. If you leave us to our own hands, you leave us alone and we'll build. And they know it. We'll build like we built this place here. The same empire that continued to lie on us. And if you want to believe that, let me tell you, folks, everything is a lie they've taught you here. They made us believe that we had strings in our behind swinging through trees, uncivilized before they civilized us. These are all lies. How can a slave be picking cotton and come up with a machine called the cotton gin that spits the seeds out of it and make it where now other plantation owners that own us have patented all of our ideas? Okay, straight out of slavery. Ingenuity. Oh, you still believe Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity with a string, a kite, and a key, huh? Where was electricity before we got here? Oh, you still believe Thomas Edison discovered the light? When we were dealing with electricity in Africa, and it's proven, and beyond Africa, we were dealing with electricity way back in Egypt. The same empire we helped create, we built with the blood, sweat, and tears of our forefathers. And yet they continue to lie, to lie, to lie. And the only thing we would like to do as a people is do what? to serve our God without fear, to serve our God, to do what we need to do to come back as a people without outside influences, without political influences. For once since our existence, to be able to do something for ourselves without other people benefiting, other sexualities and other ethnicities. Do something for ourselves. But brothers and sisters, that comes with us not asking them. It comes with us coming together in spite of their intentions against us. And that cannot happen unless we all sit down and stake claim to this book and the knowledge of it and embrace this God together and pray together and plan together. Elder Lawyer, anything you have to say before I open up the calls here?
No, sir. No, sir. Let's get straight to the calls.
Let's get straight to the calls. 1 second. I'll call you right back in, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Oh, someone's there. Okay, he's there. All right, I see him. All right, great. 515-605-9327. Come on in. As you can see, brothers and sisters, if this information resonate with you, you can support the work. You have the Cash App there that supports the work. It goes a long way. $ GOCC 144 donate. Okay. If this information goes a long way and it helps you with this and it help you understand what's going on, continue to contribute. That's highly appreciated. Okay. $ GOCC 144 donate, or you can go to gatheredofchrist.org if you don't have Cash App. There's other ways of helping that way. All right. Okay, let's go in. Overcoming the Lies of Babylon.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Okay. All right. Let's get
unmuted.
All right. Thank you for that. Let me bring Elder Lawyer in with me here. It's been a great conversation tonight. I mean, I went past the time. I said I would end at 10, but you know how these things. I started an hour late, so I'm sorry about that. I have new equipment here, and it took it took my brother AC coming in, but don't worry about it. I'm here now. I'll go until another 15, 20 minutes. I'll try to get all your calls in. So I digress. We have Lavelle on the line, 331 area code. You're live.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom. How you doing, Lavelle?
I'm good. Just had a quick question about John chapter 21.
Oh, sure.
Christ.
Let's go there.
Christ told Peter to feed my sheep. Like, what did he mean by that?
Well, it tells you that when you go into the Bible, that a servant is to bring again the tribes of Jacob, right? And in feeding the sheep, you're doing what? You're dealing with the needs of the sheep. You're instilling in that person the knowledge of the Almighty. Like, there's not really one simple direction. It's teaching them, guiding them to a point where what? A full knowledge to discern both good and evil. Okay, it's teaching them, rearing them, growing them. So it's not one thing in particular. It's, I mean, look at a shepherd and his sheep. He give the nourishment that's needed for that sheep to grow. You got it?
Come.
Yeah, that's what it means. You feed that sheep. Right? If you love me, you feed the sheep. And see, and that's important. You wash him with the water of the word. It comes with correction. It comes with protection. Because why? Like I mentioned a few weeks ago, the shepherd needs the sheep and the sheep needs the shepherd. Right? The shepherd has that hook on the end because when he see that sheep are really some of the most pure, trusting animals on earth. So without a shepherd, the sheep would be decimated because they'll just go and they'll be next to, a wolf or a fox, something that can actually destroy it and just sit there. Trusting that the shepherd has looked and seen the fox traps and know how to take that stick and knock the wolf away. That's how trusting they are, the wolves and the fox. If without the shepherd, the sheep won't survive. Like it says, you smite the shepherd and the sheep shall what? Shall scatter. There's no one to keep it together. Right? So it says, feed my sheep, keep them in the fold, help them, nourish them, help them understand me. So it's not one thing when it's the whole gambit. Okay?
Okay.
My brother, thanks for the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Kamar, 646 area code. Shalom.
Yeah, shalom, Elder, shalom.
You sound familiar.
No, I say shalom, Elder.
Shalom, Kamar. You sound, that's a familiar voice I hear there.
Oh, yeah, Elder. I called you like about 2 weeks ago.
Yes, I remember. Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm in your academy too now, Elder. I joined it like 2 weeks ago too, right after I talked to you.
Yeah, I remember. The floor is yours.
Yeah, but I want to talk to you about a testimony. It's like a testimony and to aim to stand up for your identity of who you are in the Bible. I've been going through this situation with the corona from in last year. My job, I don't want to talk about my job because the past experience, I know if they know who I am, then they're going to fire me. But I go through a fight with my job, not taking the corona test. They called me, they checked me, telling me, giving me 3 different deadlines. The last time they called me, I tell them, okay, listen, I'm not going to take the corona test. So they say, okay, they're going to fire me. I say, you cannot fire me. If you fire me, you got all right to fire me because it's your company. But according to law, it's not right to fire me because right now it's in the 5th Supreme Court and it's on hold. So it's not right for you to fire me. So I'm a sue. They say, what is they talking about in the 5th Supreme Court? They say, you all don't give no mandate for religious in people. So I'm going to sue you based on that. So they say, okay, they're going to send me a form. And they're going to send me a form for me to fill it out. In the form, I want to just read what the form says briefly, real quick. It says, briefly describe. Yes, Eller.
No, I said go on. We're listening. The form,
okay,
the content of the form.
Briefly describe your religion and nature of the sincere religion, belief or practice or observance that is the basis for the exemption, accommodation, request, vaccine, waiver. My reply was, I am a Jew, a Hebrew from the tribe of Benjamin. I believe in the God of Israel. I attend the gathering of Christ Church. And this vaccine is against my religion. They got if only object to the corona vaccine, I should stick it or all.
Well,
so they want to.
Okay, brother, let me give you some wisdom. Christ says, I send you out as sheep among wolves. Be wise as serpents and harmless as a dove. Right? Now,
Yeah.
if you're going to do a religious exemption, there's other religions that are already on the book that are protected. That, understand, under religious exemptions. Like, I would say straight out. No, listen. I would say, listen, I'm a Christian who follows Sabbath. I'm a Christian who follows Sabbath. And on top of that, I'm a commandment keeper. And leave it there. Listen, I wouldn't give them any minute detail outside of what I believe.
You don't.
No, listen to me.
You're right, Elder.
Listen to me.
You're perfect.
Brother, listen
Yes,
to me.
Elder.
I'm giving you some wisdom here. The
Yes,
last
sir.
thing you need them to do to try to look and try to find something negative, or they can deem negative, to actually, be justified in their action against you. Keep in mind, when they give you sheets like that, they're fishing. They're trying to draw information out from you. So listen, you have to be as general as possible and say, listen, because you don't owe them an explanation. They're not going to live with what happens to you if something happens to you. You don't owe them all that. The only thing you owe them is what? You owe them the position that you've agreed, the service you've agreed to actually give them for hire. That's what you owe them. So outside of that, listen, if I were you, I would say, listen, I'm a Christian who's a commandment keeper. And here's the scripture where it says that I'm not supposed to defile my temple. Here's the scriptures for defiling my temple. And here's the dietary law according to Leviticus the 11th. That these are the things that I can put in my body, either natural herbs or clean food. And that's according to my God. And let me tell you, what I'm saying is you have a right to do that, even if you weren't a part of a church. You don't have to be a
Elder,
part.
You see what?
Yeah, brother, but
You see everything you say?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Elder.
No, what
I say everything you say, I agree with it. And you see, going on further, that is the best way. But I was working off, we say, the best ability I could at that time, because
yeah. Well, brother,
I'm strongly.
Brother, listen to
Yes,
me,
sir.
because I do got to get to another call. I'm gonna let you have the last word. When you're speaking broad on something as important as that, it's out of the scope of you and I now. There's other people who will listen to that and who may do what you did, but you have to work with wisdom. If someone can actually listen, if someone can actually fire you, they wouldn't have gave you a piece of paper. So because they have to protect themselves on the legal side also. So what they're doing is with the paper is trying to get information to justify, what they're trying to do to you. So you got to have enough wisdom to listen, you have to have enough wisdom not to give them, the written weapon to justify their actions. So the way you do it is, I'm a Christian, which is true. You believe in Christ, who believe in the law, and just tell them how you feel about things concerning what you believe in God. You don't have to be a part of a church for that. All right? I'm just giving you some wisdom there. Oh, yeah. All right?
You're right, because they use it. You're right, because they use it against me further on down, because they use what I write against me and say, what do you mean by Hebrews? And I got to go to, they say Hebrew is not a religion.
Hey, brother.
So I got to go to.
I'm going to help you out because you're fairly. Listen, I don't want you to break down every step of that. I'm going to give you some understanding there. The Bible says, let counsel go before every action, especially when it comes to your livelihood. The correct thing you should have done was, especially if you're listening to us or whatever the case is to send an email and say, this is what's going on. What what would the church advise under certain circumstances? And what we would do, which is give you a general understanding of what the belief is. Right?
Okay.
So the whole thing is, the belief is, I believe in God, I keep the commandments, and I follow the Sabbath, and I don't put anything unclean in my body. Period. And that has to be respected.
Okay.
That has to be respected, okay? All right? And so, especially if that's what you believe, right? So, and then the ball is in their court. If you talking about you Hebrews and this, that, and the other, keep in mind, brother, when you type in Hebrews and a black person online, nothing good comes up. So on top of that, you're giving them information to actually now do what? Lump you in with what can be considered black extremist. And by saying that, now they got an excuse to say, well, okay, they're justified in their actions now, because now what you're going to come back and say, well, I'm listening to one of the only churches who know the Hebrews who don't act like that. You're putting yourself at a disadvantage. You're putting yourself at a disadvantage by putting yourself out there, without having to deal with all that. The majority of things, the majority of things that's going to come up online is what the power structure want to come up when explaining what is a Hebrew and what is an Israelite. And what'll come up, really what Christ was bringing forth. And you're going to leave yourself at a disadvantage, and it's not going to be their fault. It's going to be you divulging all this information that they didn't have prior. All right? So, brother, use some wisdom, man. All right. Shalom.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Shalom.
All right. Cora is on the line, has a comment or a question. Yes.
Good evening, Elder. Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, my comment is going to lead into my question. I was talking with my youngest daughter a couple of days ago, and I just happened to ask her. She said she was eating some. I said, "What you eating?" And she told me, well, it was something that was unclean. And I mentioned to her that the food is not supposed to eat. Well, she tells me, I know you've told me that before, but I'm still going to eat this anyway.
Okay.
But she says, I'm not, just because I'm not taking your religion, and she says, I still feel I'm Lutheran. I'm still basically Lutheran. I'm not a part of your religion.
Okay.
So, but my question is, where do I go to get her to understand it's not a religion? It's you were born this, and you should not eat it because you're not, because our Maker said don't eat it. How can I make her understand you're among the people that he said don't eat, and you shouldn't eat it? So, that's the main question.
All right. The whole thing is, I would point her to this video tonight. Share that with her.
Oh.
All right. Also.
Okay, but.
No, listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to me. Because you have to realize, in order for someone to come to the knowledge of the truth, it has to be put it this way. How can I put it in a way you can understand it? In a nutshell, people are selfish creatures. And what interests her about God might not be what she's eating. Right? So, right. And this is why Christ told the disciples, put down your nets, I'll make you fishers of men. You have to know what the bait is that interests the person, that would have them see the Most High where they are. And usually it's not through conflict or what they can deem is conflict. Right? So,
right.
The whole thing is you have to find out what she needs to know about God. What interests her about the Most High? What is it she's interested in about him that she really don't know? those are the answers that will work for her. Because then when those questions are answered, that God is going to lead her to the dietary law, and she'll be eating what you're eating. Right?
Well, yes.
So listen.
Here's this video.
Listen. Here's an example. Right? I can go to a family engagement, and they know who I am and what I teach. And they'll be eating whatever they want to eat. And I'm not going to sit there and be like, well, you can't eat this and you can't eat that. I'm not going to be that way. My presence will give an opportunity that will allow me to say something or speak with them and answer an age-old question that they've always had but was uncomfortable with, because they thought that, I would operate in the spirit of a Pharisee or condemn them. Right? So what I do is I don't pressure what listen. I know this. I'm going to ask what's up in those greens. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask what's in those greens. But then when they come to me and say, well, you a Hebrew, you this, that, and the other, why don't you eat that? They'll ask me, and I'll say, you know what I'll come back and tell them? Look at the condition of our people. Some of the most healthiest people that have ever lived on earth built this country right off the slave ships. And we're the most unhealthy people on earth now. Why? Because we're defiling our temple. See, I use words like that.
Okay.
We're defiling our temple. See, words like that intrigues our people. What you mean defiling our temple? I've never heard that in the church. Well, see? Well, listen, I don't mean to offend you. Okay, so I'm not going to attack you here. But the Most High God made clean and unclean food. With clean food, you'll live longer and have a better quality of life. Unclean, you die. They don't even understand what the concept of clean or unclean is until you break it down like that. Right?
Okay.
As far as she's concerned, you're no different than a Muslim. Okay?
Right.
That's it. She don't understand. There's no context for her. So you have to deal with her on the level you can. Keep the relationship intact, where she's free to operate without just outright sinning in your presence. And I'm going to tell you, the opportunity will present itself. Right? And then you have to deal with the fact that blessed are your eyes that you see and the ears that you hear. Because, hey, it wasn't given to everyone to be able to see. It's plain to you. Right?
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So I know it's frustrating, but Christ was amongst publicans and sinners, and eventually they repented. Right? But we can't. Okay. But you can't be you can't be overbearing in certain circumstances. You have to allow Christ to operate, and not just nitpick what they can perceive as nitpicking. I know you're trying to help them, but you have to step in their shoes for a second and realize that maybe while they're eating it isn't the best time to say it's not good. Right? Right? Maybe
right, I guess not.
Yeah, maybe you have the right idea, but it's just not the right moment. They're eating it right now.
Oh, okay. Right.
Right?
Eating it and enjoying it.
Yeah, So, wait for a better moment for that, right?
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Now, as far as sharing the video, how can I get her interested to be sure that she'd even watch the video with the mindset that she's got that, well, well, I don't embrace your religion, as she calls it,
Yeah.
but to get her interested to even check out the videos, what can I say to her?
Let me read this to
Make her
you.
even want to watch the videos.
Let me read this to you. All right.
Okay.
I'm in Matthew 13. Right?
Okay.
Right. Matter of fact, I'm going to just run right through it. Right? Because the disciples asked Christ a certain question, right? And Christ answered Matthew 13. The disciples asked Christ, why do you speak to the other people in parables, but to us it's plain? Like, when you hear me teach and break things down and talk, it's just clear to you. I mean, it's clear to a degree where you can become flabbergasted when others see it and don't understand it because it's so clear to you, right? You don't understand how other people can't see what's plain to you, right? Well, that question was posed to Christ, and Christ answered, therefore I speak to them in parables, because they see not. And I'm in Matthew 13 and 13.
Okay.
Because they see and see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And it says, the 14th verse, and in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, by hearing you shall hear and shall not understand, and seeing you shall see and shall not perceive. For this people heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed. You have people who don't want to see. Because if they see, then they know they're accountable to what they're looking at. And that's what Christ was saying. They close their eyes. Don't show me. Lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears and shall understand with their heart and should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which you see and have not seen them, and to hear those things which you hear and have not heard them. This is Christ. I know it's sweet to us, but I'll tell you, there's people out there who are blind, and on top of being blind, they don't seek to be healed. They don't even want to see. Because there's a responsibility that comes with seeing. Ignorance is bliss. Okay?
Right. Okay, right.
All right. So, just be careful of operating around her, not saying much, because eventually if you keep poking the bear, she's going to swipe. All right?
Right.
So
Okay.
just be patient. All right. All right. Next call.
Okay.
Bless you, sister. I'm gonna place the next call. Zachary. I'm so sorry. I'm so late, Zachary. But this has been a great broadcast. I can't wait till Friday, Saturday, and man, who is Edom? And also, week 5, we're going into the conflict between men and women in the academy. Week 5. Woo! That's going to be something interesting. Boy, you want to be in this academy, I tell you. Zachary. Can family survive? Hello? Can family survive will be the lesson. Zachary, you have a comment and question?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you turn me off in the back? Because I got to get through these calls. I can't have anything in the back. It makes for bad broadcasting.
Okay. You hear me better now?
Yes. The floor is yours.
I have a question and a comment.
Okay. Floor is yours.
My question is, Can you refer me back to the scripture in the Bible when it explains believing in Christ and about voting and not the laws of man? I know I can't remember what scripture that is, but I'm trying to get to that scripture. I wanted to ask you something about it.
Okay, are you talking about where the scripture says you cannot put a king of your nation that's not your nation over you? Is that what you're asking? That you're not to put a king?
I think so.
Okay, I'll get that.
I was
Hold on, Elder Lawyer, grab that for me.
Okay.
Where you're not supposed to put a king of your nation, a king of another nation over you. But really, that scripture doesn't apply to the republic process of what we're seeing today under a republic. But I can understand the premise of why a lot of people use that scripture, placing a king of another nation over you, when that's not what it's talking about. Right? But we'll get that scripture for you. What is your comment?
I just wanted to bring that up to relate to the why and this country of like the United States while being forced to vote, to have a voice, when the scripture in the Bible says that you shouldn't rely on man to decide to have to vote or not.
Okay, there's two things, right? On that, right? There's no one forcing anyone to vote, right?
Yeah.
There is no scriptures per se says that one cannot vote. Like, you're not sending.
No, I'm saying that.
No. I need you to, so that we can correspond in understanding. Let me say what I'm saying, and then,
Okay.
All right, so that you can get it all and understand what I'm saying. There's no scripture that says that you cannot vote. So that'll be, if I can give you a scripture that says we're not supposed to put a king of another nation over us, but that doesn't apply to us in captivity. Okay, that's us as a nation of Israel in the land, choosing to put an Edomite or another race of people as a leader over our people in general. It's not speaking of living in a republic. That's scripture. So in rightly dividing the word of truth, I can't give you that scripture to justify to others and say, here's a scripture that goes against voting, as if voting is a sin. It's not a sin, okay, to actually vote. Because the Bible says where there's no law, there's no transgression. So there is no law someplace to say that you can't vote if you want. But me, right? I understand that living in a capitalistic society is what? It's quid pro quo. I don't understand why someone will vote and not get anything out of it, ever. To me, that's insane. It's supposed to be an exchange. What have you done for me? We're putting you in a position where you're going to make, you and your family make generational finances while our people suffer in the communities. So it's more so a political decision than it is a religious or a belief decision. Like, to me, it's insane. To me, it's insane. When I look at our communities in Philadelphia, who has always been under Democrats, right? I see the product of being under Democrats. Look at our community. And no one can blame that on a Republican, because Republicans have never been over the city of Philadelphia as the majority. So in fact, if I vote Democrat, I'm voting for my own demise. I'm saying in earnest, in good conscience there, that I agree with the decimation of my people in my community based on what? The history of what they've always done against us to leverage off sexuality and minority and all these things while our people are in prison, families separated, and all of that has happened under Democrats. So that's not a religious decision. I mean, but it's insane to vote for your own demise. And that doesn't mean that I agree with Republicans either. But we're the only people who vote through emotion. What'll happen is they'll dog us out and destroy us and imprison and kill us for 3 years. And then in the 4th year, they'll come up with a George Floyd or another name and trigger us against the races on the other side so they can kill us 3 more years. So that's more so a political discussion. Now, when the Bible says, when the Bible says, when the Bible talks about follow the laws or the ministers that be, for they're ministers of God, in the book of Romans, it isn't talking about politicians. It's talking about the preachers in the church. So they can't even use the New Testament to say that we're supposed to follow the powers that be and claim that it was claiming that the disciples were saying follow Caesar and it's heathenistic behind. No. They're taking that out of context too. When it says follow the powers that be for they are of God in the epistles, it's talking about the leaders in the church. So it's supposed to be a total separation of church and state. If you believe in God and Christ, that's our government. Okay? But I will give you that scripture real quick. Elder Lawyer, give him that real quick while I go to the next call.
Yes, sir. This is Deuteronomy 17, verse 14.
Deuteronomy 17, verse 14 gives you the scripture where it says you're not supposed to put a king of another nation over you. Got it?
But Elder, I think you misunderstood what I was saying. I wasn't saying that the Bible was saying that we couldn't vote. I was basically saying what you just summed it up. You kind of twisted it. That
well, brother, it was hard for me to listen to me clearly. It was hard for me to get out what you were saying because you weren't clear. I was listening to you, so I'm trying to piece together what I think you're saying to give a coherent answer for thousands of listeners. So I apologize. It wasn't that I misunderstood you. You weren't clear in your delivering what was in your mind concerning, but let's do it again. What was your question?
Yeah, because I couldn't remember the scripture, that's why.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You can't deliver something halfway and say that I didn't understand. You weren't clear, right? And it's okay, but I can only get the gist of what I thought you were saying to clear it up, because my position is to edify. When you like this is what a program is. Once you speak and we talk together, I'm thinking of how what we both are saying is going to benefit the brothers and sisters who are listening. Got it? But I mean, I don't want to misunderstand you, so I'll take some more time and patience to actually hear what you're asking me. What's that?
So my question was, Elder Lawyer already told me the chapter, but I was using that to confirm that we shouldn't be put in the box or the label with saying that we had to follow man to pick a side, to basically saying that you voting against the believe in the higher in God, and you got to listen to a man to decide how you supposed to live in a country that you saying that we don't really have a say in. We don't even know our own language. You think American English is our language, and it's not.
Okay.
Like we have to start all over again.
All right, well, brother, I got to get to the next call because you going into languages. I'm with you what you're saying. I gave you the scripture, but in a nutshell, there is no.
I know it's a lot.
No, I'm saying it's moving around. It's not it's not nothing we can actually put a beat on. It's just a train of thought, and I understand that. I'm gonna put you on hold. We're gonna get to the next call. Thank you, my brother. All right.
Okay, thank you. Shalom.
Thank you. All right, next call. Ariala has a question. Shalom.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom. How are you?
Hello?
How are you?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm talking to you. I am blessed. How are you?
I am blessed. The floor is yours. Ariala.
Okay, so yes, this is Sister Ariella from the Houston body. I was like baptized in 2020, and I've been talking a lot, so please excuse my voice. But I'm kind of nervous too, because like you're like a super celebrity to me. Like I have so much to tell you. But okay, so I'll start with my work. Excuse me. Okay, so I am an herbalist and I'm a holistic coach. So I actually help people with their lifestyle and like their diet, sometimes fitness, and helping like mothers get their vessels back after pregnancy, things like that. So my question, and I have double honor and nothing more than love and respect for you, Elder. So I kind of want to make sure I keep my question, in order. And so the way that I phrased it was, like, as far as Passover, are we required to eat lamb?
Okay. You're asking at the Passover, are you required? Hold up. I'm playing in the background, so please cut off the background, please.
I don't have you in the background.
Okay, do me a favor. Do you have me on speaker? Because I'm coming through something and I can hear it back.
Well, no, actually, hold on, wait. Now you're on speaker. Does that sound different?
Okay, I'm going to try it now. No, it's bad. So I'll answer that question.
I'm so sorry, Salakia.
No, it happens.
This is my house.
It's technical issues. I'm going to put you on hold and answer the question. Yes, you have to eat lamb at the Passover. Okay? I know people who are vegans and all that, but this is what the Most High says. Okay? You can eat it. It's clean. And then you can take a little piece in respect of the holy day, and the rest solids and pasta if you want. We'll probably have a little piece of fish for you too, but yes, you have to do the lamb, and then you can eat all the veggies you want. Okay? All right, 315 area code. Shalom.
Hello, shalom.
Shalom. How are you?
I got a.
Go ahead. Your name and location there.
I'm good. I got Corey and in New York, or right now I'm in Florida. But
okay. Talk to me.
Okay. I got two questions.
Yeah.
So I was talking to some Jewish people, and they said I was like debating with them about the Messiah, and they said one thing about him that would make him not the Messiah is that a temple would have to be, according to them, a temple would have to be built. But from the scriptures that they were telling me, it doesn't, and unless there was one that I missed, it doesn't necessarily say that there'd be a temple built on earth. But I believe in Revelation when it says that the New Jerusalem would come out of heaven. Is that including the temple when that would come out of heaven, as well as when it says that the Most High would be in his tabernacle and all of that?
Do you have a Bible?
Yes.
Okay. Do me a favor. Go to Titus 1:14. 1:13.
Titus 1:13. Okay.
Read Titus 1:13 and 14. 13 and 14.
Okay. This witness is true, wherefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith, not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth.
Okay, let's talk about that. Jewish fables. Let me get the word fable in the Greek. Fable. A myth. A tale. In a nutshell, a tale. The ideas of tuition, a tale, something that's fiction or myth. I don't care how confident they talk about a temple that a Messiah would build. They would have to show that out of the Torah or Tanakh. And see, really what they don't understand, because they're unlearned, straight out, is that the whole idea of the temple being built politically was an what? A Jewish or a Jesuit ideology from the 16th century. Right. In 1585, they came up with that ideology so that they can have a false testimony or false prophecy that people would be looking forward to. Some agreement where the Christians would make an agreement with the Jews, and the Jews would build a temple in Jerusalem, which really was a pretext to have Christians help them gain Palestine through religion. So really, it's more political, a fable, a myth, so that people can help them get into the land politically, than it was prophecy. So you can't make sense out of nonsense. I've spoken with them many days privately and asked them, where is it in the Bible that says that the Messiah is going to build a temple in the Old Testament, and that's the Messiah you're waiting for? Okay?
Right, yeah.
You know, only to be met with a, almost a blank stare of confusion. You know, with a little bubble over their head and a question mark where they're looking at me staring blindly, as if they've seen, an apparition or something. That's the way they operate when you actually challenge their nonsense.
Right.
So listen to me. Now they do have writings.
Okay.
They have writings with rabbis and all that. And with these Talmudic rabbi sayings of individuals who have made quotes of this temple. Well, that's not in the Torah. See, and this is why they don't answer the question in the Bible, because they know it's from some other record that can only be confirmed through rabbis. And they don't want to talk about those records. All right? So you can't make sense out of nonsense. All right. The Messiah they talking about coming is a Messiah that has already come. And the book of Revelations is the devil. It's the devil that they worship. All right. What's next?
If you don't mind, before you move on to the next one, I just want to read something real quick on that point.
Hold up. Hey, lawyer, why don't you bring in your video so they can see that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sir. Hold on. Let me bring in lawyer. Lawyer has something on that. Because I don't got no time for some nonsense on that. Go ahead, other lawyer.
Yes, sir. This is St. John chapter 2, verse 18 through 22. What you're going to find out is the temple that they're looking for was already built. And I'm going to show you. This is John 2:18 through 22. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, what sign showest thou unto us, seeing that thou doest these things? Yeshua answered and said unto them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. Then said the Jews, 46 years was this temple in building, and wilt thou rear it up in 3 days? But he spake of the temple of his body. So that's the temple the temple that they don't have the spirit to recognize, but that's the temple they should be looking for. And that temple was destroyed and rebuilt in 3 days when Christ resurrected.
But they don't believe in him.
That's it on that.
Yeah. Thank you, other lawyer. And they don't believe in him anyway. And also, not only do they reject Christ, they reject the New Testament. But Christ is that temple. Thank you, other lawyer.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
And then
what's the next question?
One more question, and then a comment, if that's okay. Because I in my Bible study we've been talking a lot about this, and when it says the Messiah about in Ezekiel, when it says that the Messiah would have, the Messiah would make a sin offering for him and his people, and a couple people in the Bible study that I talked with, they said they were starting to doubt if it was Christ, but one of the best answers that solutions that I said was, wouldn't he have to, because they said if Christ was perfect, why would he have to make a sin offering in the future? But wouldn't that still be him taking on that last sin for us? And I kind of seen like a foreshadowing when I believe Noah did the same thing. He did a sin atonement, even though Noah was still righteous, but he did it for the world.
Okay, so here's the issue, especially with dealing with Christians. You cannot do,
and that's in Ezekiel 45:22.
I'm with you. I'm going to show you though. You cannot really,
yes, sir.
You can't really start philosophizing with Christians, right? Because it'll be all over the place. So when they went into the sin offering, all those things, what I would do here is I would take them. This is what Christians will respect. I'll take them to Hebrews, the 10th chapter. Let's go to Hebrews 10 real quick. You can go there. Right? Let me know when you're there.
Yes.
Read the first verse on down real quick.
For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually make the comers thereunto perfect. For then would they not have ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers once purged should have had no more conscience of sins.
Come on.
But in those sacrifices there is a remembrance again made of sins every year.
Come on.
For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. Wherefore when he cometh into the world, he saith, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared me.
Come on.
And burnt offerings and sacrifices for a sin that has had no pleasure. Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me to do thy will, O God.
I've come in the volume of the book, right? That's the Old and New Testament, right? As a sacrifice, right? Of an atonement, right? Now, now let's go over to the 9th chapter. Go over to the 9th chapter. I just wanted you to get that real quick. Let's go to the 9th chapter now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm going straight to let's go straight to the 11th verse. 9 and 11.
9 and 11.
Read that.
But Christ being come in high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building.
Come on.
Neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us.
Come on. So
for
as we know,
the blood of bulls and of goats.
Keep it on.
For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer, sprinkling the unclean, sanctified to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God.
So Christ was a sacrifice himself, fulfilling the Old Testament, and shed his blood on the heavenly tables for us all, right? So Christians agree with that, correct?
Correct.
So what is their disagreement?
Just a few were saying that, you know, with him being perfect, why would he have to bring? Well, they don't go to this part in Hebrews, but they say, why would he have to bring a sacrifice for himself and for the people if he never sinned?
Well, because he's carrying the sin of Adam in his bloodline.
Correct.
That's the sin of death he's destroying. So he's not just carrying. Don't forget, he's a lamb without blemish. He didn't do any sin or ought against the Most High. He destroying the sin that came from Adam and throughout all generations that would lead to him being high priest and able to destroy death by taking that blood on the heavenly tables to destroy it so that we can one day receive immortality. So what they're just looking at Christ himself and not the blood he's carrying, what he's sacrificing, the bloodline of sin that came with Adam. So this is why I took you the Hebrews, so you can show the purging. It wasn't just a purging of his time or the Israelites' time. He was purging sin, from the beginning. So this is what I'm saying. When you philosophize and debate with Christians, they'll take a little point and they'll destroy their own argument. Because by them saying that, then now are we going to question Christ being the sacrifice now? See, this is why they need teachers. Right? because he wasn't just bringing sacrifice for himself, but why did he bring that? Because of the sin, since sin entered into the world since Adam. He had to destroy that. That was in him too. Right. But that's a whole nother lesson. I'll go into that this Sabbath. All right.
Correct. And just my last comment, because I watched with especially when Elder Lawyer, when they did the Isaiah 53, and then when you had broke down Isaiah 53, because a couple people that I was fellowshipping with, they started thinking that had to do with and you guys had talked about this when they say that that's the nation of Israel, but it's just that doctrine, that narrative, it makes no sense when you. So it's like you're saying that the righteous, because they play that with when it says that a father can't die for a son and a son can't die for a father, which I think they're taking that completely out of context. Yeah. But but even when they use that scripture, it's still it would be a contradiction if you're going to use that with Isaiah 53, because whether they say it as one, you still have to acknowledge that it's either a group of people, a singular people, or multiple people, but somebody's still dying for somebody. Even if you want to say that it's a group of people, even though we know that has to be a savior, that has to be one person, but it just going over that. But yeah, I don't get how that they can say that that's a nation, the nation of Israel.
It's like this, brother. And I understand you. I mean, I know you've been doing this for a little while, and you're sharpening your sword. It is best to. I went through all that, sparring and debating and going back and forth. And guess what? It's good to sharpen your sword and see some of the nonsense out there, right? But those who would use that scripture to say that it isn't Christ, they're condemned already. Because how can Israel, being in sin, die for Israel? So they destroy their own argument. Just by, and the only thing that they would need to do they would need to do in earnest is just accept Christ. They'd rather come off totally contradicting themselves than to believe that he was the Messiah. No different than Pharisees and scribes or the modern day teachers that are within Judaism and those who don't believe in Christ. But this is what I have for them, is what Christ says. He that believeth on him is not condemned. John 3:18. But he that believeth not, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he have not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. If you don't believe Christ was the one sent from the Old Testament, you don't even believe in the Most High. And you're condemned already, skull and bones. So if you don't want to believe, take your chance out there without him being that sacrifice. I would like to at least side on the side of caution? Okay, why not believe in him and benefit from the wisdom that comes with him and his sacrifice than to not believe in him and get condemned? So like I said, I've dealt with these Old Testament guys who don't believe in the New Testament, and their arguments fall on deaf ears. Eventually, they're teaching themselves. And look at the ministry of Christ with this truth, who know they're Hebrews and Israelites, compared to those who don't believe in Christ. What's resonating more? Who are more people actually coming to the knowledge of the truth with out there? See? So, hey, let them. Listen, Christ left the Pharisees in the dust, and Christ's truth is leaving those who don't believe in the New Testament. In the dust. Because guess what? You cannot believe in the Old Testament and reject Christ. It's impossible. It's insane. That means they're reading a book that they don't understand. Right? Without Christ, see, there was need for a New Testament because we broke the first. So you're still going back to what we fell from, as if that could actually get us out of this condition. It's asinine. It's insane. All right. Well, brothers and sisters, thank you, brother. Great call. I'm sorry. I'm so late, but I had to bring this out today, and I don't want to digress into digression. I see you, Sunshine. I'll bring you in. Just call Friday. I'll get the rest of the calls. I have a little bit more to eat. Oh yeah, we made some lasagna, and it was. Hey, I'm gonna get some more, and some hot tea, and digress. Elder Lawyer, I thank you for staying up with me tonight. Hopefully you can share. Elder Lawyer, you think you're gonna be with me on Patreon this Friday? Or you good? It's up to you.
Sure, I can drop in.
Okay, just drop in for a little bit. I don't know if you have something busy before the sundown. If not, it's fine. I can handle it. And we're gonna have Dr. Truman Burst come in for at least 30 minutes to 40 minutes to give some insight based on the new revelation that, all of a sudden everything is working out good in the earth where people can actually live again, right? Because the news said so. But what aren't they telling us about the stuff that's in the people who decided to drink the juice this coming Friday? Oh yeah, do we got a broadcast? With that, I'm going to say, stay prayed up. Never fall for the lies in Babylon. Stay prayed up, sin not. And don't forget, the Most High is calling back Israel. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, Mother Lawyer. Whoa.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel. Wake up.
721 BC.
The Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell.
With the great escape we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be, Manasseh, the Cubans. Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians. Simeon, the Dominicans. The highest gathering Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us at gunpoint. Together our wives and children then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. Asha in Colombia, Ruben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans, Ahai's gathering Israel, Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians.